on the Odyssey app or on YouTube. What's really cool is not only are we on the airwaves, but we also are on YouTube. So if you can't get through our busy phone lines at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, you can just pop on our YouTube channel, which now has over 15,000 subscribers, and you can see every single second of the show. So that's always an additional element to it. Great to be joined by Connor Armstrong. That's one N, not two. Connor, how you doing, brother? You doing well?
I'm doing great, Shep. We haven't worked together in a while, man. It's good to be back together.
I know. You might be like the 10th different executive producer I have worked with in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But you are a professional. It's good to be with you. Sovereignty, certainly a professional at the Kentucky Derby.
Loved it.
Right?
Yep.
How about some magic with the hat trick in Game 7?
Insane. Against his former team.
Miko Magic. That's right. He was there for a decade. I'm impressed with your hockey knowledge.
Oh yeah, baby.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
you know what we got to lead off with?
Of course.
It was an unfortunate Game 7 in the NBA, but nonetheless, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. One team actually showed up in that Game 7. The other, being the LA Clippers, only showed up for one quarter. Now, we saw Jamal Murray go for 43 points in Game 5. Okay, that's his sixth 40-point game of his postseason career. That matches George Gervin. George Gervin is a four-time scoring champ. Jamal Murray has never had one season where he's averaged 22 points per game. I say all that to say when you're playing against the Denver Nuggets, it's a different beast because Jamal Murray is just a different cat in the postseason compared to the regular season. He's got an 18-point-per-game average in the regular season. He's a very good player. And then he becomes a first-ballot Hall of Famer in the postseason where he averages 24 points per game. No one has a greater jump from the regular season to the postseason. I say all that to say this. Him and Nikola Jokic began Game 7 0 of 8 from the floor. By the time we got to the second quarter, about midway through, they were still 0 of 8 from the floor. And the Nuggets were winning. You knew the Clippers were in trouble because, honestly, they didn't care all that much about this game. I'll give you an example. Russell Westbrook is a mediocre free throw shooter. He's a great igniter of the crowd. He's got a lot of energy. He can miss a lot of shots too, but he also is not a good free throw shooter. You don't have to be an official NBA scout to know this. Russell Westbrook shot a free throw, missed it, got his own rebound, put it back up with no one in sight, as if he was Michael Jordan in his prime. That was Russell Westbrook in year 17. That particular scenario demonstrated to me the apathy, the lack of willpower, the lack of commitment, the lack of competitiveness by the Los Angeles Clippers. I'll give them credit. They were in it in the first quarter. They were up by 5. You saw the new adjustment that Ty Lue made this time around with Derrick Jones Jr. in the starting lineup. He had a quick 7 points. No one had Derrick Jones Jr. outscoring Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in the first quarter. That's exactly what happened. But you figure with such anemic shooting from Nikola Jokic, from Jamal Murray, that the Clippers would take advantage. They were not able to. Now, this is without question one of the more disappointing losses in franchise history. And I know the Clippers have had plenty of disappointing losses in franchise history, but here's why. Kawhi Leonard was healthy, y'all. Tell me the last time Kawhi Leonard was healthy. Connor Armstrong, top of your head. Tell me the last time Kawhi Leonard was healthy in the postseason. Best guess.
I would say probably, oof.
You got to think about it, right?
Probably when he won with the Raptors, right? 2019?
So 2021. 2021 was the last time Kawhi Leonard was healthy in the postseason. That's 4 years ago. This doesn't happen too often when Kawhi is playing with a bounce in his step in the month of April. And you had that. And you had James Harden playing at an all-star caliber level. You had Norman Powell having a career year. Dyson Daniels, most improved player of the year. The guy right behind him in the award voting, Ivica Zubac, playing like an all-star caliber center. You have him. You're not supposed to lose in the first round. And when Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray can't put a beach ball in the ocean, and they're doing everything they can to help out the Clippers, and you're still losing at that particular time, that's pathetic. That's incredibly disappointing. The lack of effort, the lack of vigor, the lack of desire. I mean, the Clippers acted as if this was game number 58 of the regular season on a 6-game road trip. This was pathetic. Pathetic. For them to have 5 turnovers in the second quarter to the Nuggets 0. You saw the kind of defense that the Nuggets were playing. They were getting up in the grill of James Harden every single possession. They were forcing him right. They were taking the ball out of his hands. They weren't going to let him score. And to James Harden credit, in year 16, to have 10 assists in the first half, it's pretty impressive. But he's got to be more aggressive than just finishing with 8 shots. You had 6 different Nuggets with at least 15 points. 6 different Nuggets. Just one Clipper was able to match that being Kawhi Leonard. You're not supposed to lose a first-round series when you got Kawhi, when you got the Beard, when you got Ivica Zubac, when you got Norman Powell. That was a pathetic display from the Los Angeles Clippers. And here's another thing. I don't want to hear anymore that the Nuggets don't have enough help for Nikola Jokic, because there were 3 Nuggets in double figures in that first half. Not one of them was Nikola Jokic. Same could be said for Jamal Murray, by the way. You talk about how out of hand this game got. They being the Clippers, they got outscored 37-21 in the second quarter. They then got blitzed in the third quarter, where the Nuggets went on a 17-0 run. This was a 28-point game midway through the third quarter, a 35-point lead at one point. This was one of the more disappointing Game 7s you will ever see in professional sports. One team, again, showed up for the entire game. The other showed up for one quarter, packed their bags, were happy making the playoffs as a 5 seed. Sayonara, Cancun on 3. They were done. Very disappointing effort from the Los Angeles Clippers. There is no way of getting around that. It's not even as if they missed shots. Like, I know Grant Hill, he alluded to this on the telecast, talking about James Harden. He'd rather see James go out swinging, going 2 for 18. I happen to agree with that. But the problem wasn't 16-year veteran James Harden. It was the entire Clippers team on Saturday, minus Kawhi Leonard, who did a lot of good things. 14 first-half points, finishing with 22. But you talk about the Nuggets, they brought it. They played with every intention of moving on. They played like this was life or death. This was a Game 7 for them. And how about Russell Westbrook going dunk contest on us in the fourth quarter? That was pretty special too. Gotta love what you saw from Denver. And I will say this, what a time to be a Colorado sports fan. I mean, yes, didn't really work out in hockey, but did work out in basketball. Denver Nuggets, they split the season series with the Oklahoma City Thunder 2-2, and they're out on a revenge tour right now because a lot of people forget that there has not been a reigning, defending NBA champion that has gotten past the second round since 2019 with the Golden State Warriors. The Nuggets were on the precipice of that, but then they blew and squandered a 20-point second-half lead to the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 7 at home in, remember, last year's playoffs. Something tells me they're going to have the championship medal. They're going to have the right recipe, the right special sauce to get by OKC. I think there's going to be some rust from OKC. I think they're a little too hyped up right now. They're a little too into themselves with these group interviews after every single game. I'm all for having fun, but not in the playoffs, right? The fun comes from winning. And you just feel like Denver, and I still disagree with the move and how they went about it, but you do feel like they're playing a little lighter. There's a little less pressure on them. Playing for David Adelman is much different than playing for Michael Malone. And clearly we saw an extremely relaxed Denver Nuggets team in that Game 7. And you got to credit Christian Brown, 21 points, Aaron Gordon, 22 points. I don't want to hear anymore that Nikola Jokic does not have help around him. And Connor Armstrong, you read my freaking mind. Well done on that. We have a Russell Westbrook slamming at home on Nuggets radio. I'm going to assume this is the fourth quarter, and this is courtesy, like I mentioned, of the Nuggets radio network. When Russell Westbrook's getting up this high, slamming it this hard in year 17, it's curtains, folks.
Poked away to steal Westbrook again. Got 2 hands! And if I said it once, I'll say it again. This thing is still over.
So I mentioned Russell Westbrook. You know, Jamal Murray didn't play necessarily great, still finishes with a cool 16 because he had fadeaway jumpers like this. This is courtesy of the Nuggets Radio Network.
Watson backs up behind the three-point line. Throws it off on the left side to Murray. Head fake on the 3. 8 on the clock here for Denver. A head fake on the 3. Drives in on Chris Dunn. He gets double-teamed. Murray gets to the elbow. Fadeaway jumper. Good! The Nuggets lead this thing by 31 points in game number 7. And this thing is over!
Now,
Book your flights to Oklahoma City, people. Let's go.
He's marinating. Now, what's interesting about this final call, I'm wondering if there was some showmanship, because I heard this live. I'm wondering if we have the whole thing. Let's take a listen to what I believe is not winning with class. Giannis would be very disappointed in this particular call. This is courtesy of the Nuggets Radio Network. This is indeed the final call.
2 seconds left to go in Denver. There's the horn. Nuggets win it 120-101 in Game 7. Bring on Oklahoma City. And Steve Ballmer can take that cute little wall he brought to Ball Arena and get right back to Los Angeles. You can go ahead and take that L on the way out as well.
Woo! Man, win with some class, why don't you? I mean, that's a little too homerish if you ask me. I mean, listen, Nuggets absolutely deserve to win this series. Absolutely the better team in Game 7. You don't got to rub it in. Come on now. A little unnecessary. Giannis would not be pleased. I will give Steve Ballmer credit for this. He is willing to spend. He is willing to do whatever it takes to win a championship. You know changes are going to be made when you have a healthy Kawhi Leonard finally in first time in 4 years in the postseason. You got James Harden playing at the caliber all-star level that he's playing at. You got Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac playing with career years. You got to get past the first round. And what's troubling and disappointing about this is that they came into the playoffs as the hottest team in the NBA, 18-3 in their last 21 games. Well, in their last 7 games, they're 3-4. They lost more games in their last 7 than their previous 21. That's not good. That means you need to make significant adjustments with your personnel, because to be that dominant and that proficient in the regular season, only to fall flat in the postseason, you know something's got to be done. I mentioned Steve Ballmer. He bought a lot of tickets. He basically created like a home court advantage for them around the Nuggets bench, and kind of similar to what they do at a Intuit Dome with the wall. So you give Ballmer credit for thinking outside the box, and it might have worked during the first quarter. Definitely did not work in the final 3. Nikola Jokic, you know he's thinking about that Game 7 last year in the Western Conference semifinals when they squandered that 20-point lead to Minnesota. You know it's still fresh on his mind, and he is relishing the opportunity to redeem himself and that Nuggets fan base. Take a listen.
To be honest, my personally 0, because I don't think about failures. I don't think about something that happened 1 year ago. My whole focus, my whole energy was today, to this moment, to be present and try to beat really talented team.
So David Adelman, you take over. It's, you got 3 games under your belt in the regular season. You now have 10 games under your belt as a head coach. Pretty impressive considering the fact that you are 3-0 in the regular season, 4-3 in the postseason. I stand corrected. This might have been the right move. I still hate how they went about it, but it might have been the right move shoving Michael Malone aside in the regular season with 3 games remaining for David Adelman. And you know he's a happy camper after a series win like this.
Just an awesome win. I said this before the playoff series. The last 3 games we won in the regular season, to give ourselves a chance to be in this building for this kind of game is a huge deal. And we've won a lot of big games here, and we've had some heartache here. We've been through a lot here. There's a lot of experience in that room, so just very proud of the overall team effort.
There's going to be a lot of people who are going to point the fingers at James Harden. He has had his doldrums and his shortcomings and, his errant performances in Game 5s and Game 6 and Game 7s. We all remember what happened in year 3 when he was a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder when they made the NBA Finals. We remember what happened time and time again in Houston, disappearing in fourth quarters. I believe one time he had less than 10 points against the San Antonio Spurs without Kawhi Leonard. He was, very compromised body-wise with the Nets, but with the Philadelphia 76ers, when he was healthy, he always came up short. We remember that putrid second half he had against Miami when I think he had like 3 or 4 points. This loss is not on him. He is in year 16. James Harden had 10 first-half assists, finishing with 13. Could he have been more aggressive? Absolutely. If James Harden went for 30, they weren't winning this game. The Nuggets showed up. The Clippers didn't. It's that simple. And if you're Ty Lue, this loss cannot feel good because you had an incredible opportunity after a dominant performance in Game 3 at home to absolutely put your foot on their necks, and you allowed yourself to get down by 20-plus points in the fourth quarter in that Game 4, and then got beat by a buzzer-beating dunk by Aaron Gordon that has never happened in NBA postseason history until Game 4, this series is going to sting. Ty Lue, where do you go from here?
I thought we came out with a decent mindset. They went to that zone and kind of made us stagnant offensively because of the way we were attacking them. And then I thought, when they went to that zone, it just kind of slowed us down offensively. And then defensively, we didn't really, get into them, get closer to the guys and have that pressure. And so they was able to pick us apart.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say when they outscored you 37-21 in the second quarter and then go on a 17-0 run in the third quarter, and it's a 28-point game midway through the third when you were up by 5 heading into the second quarter. Yeah, Ty Lue, they picked you apart. Disappointing series if you are the Los Angeles Clippers. You're not supposed to lose in round 1 when you have a prime Kawhi, a close to his prime in James Harden, and then the other pieces that come with it. I understand it's the Denver Nuggets. I get they have the best player in the world, at least offensively. I get Jamal Murray is a very gifted postseason performer. I like how Michael Porter Jr. showed up despite being compromised health-wise. Obviously, Aaron Gordon is playing like a damn near all-star, the same Aaron Gordon I saw 2 years ago when he should have made the all-star team. And then you can't say enough about Christian Brown, how he has ascended. And then Russell Westbrook basically putting on a self-anointed dunk contest in the fourth quarter, having no problem getting technicals because they were up by that much. This game got so out of hand that they were literally giving Greg Popovich a tribute basically midway through the fourth quarter. Now, listen, you do that at the beginning of the game. You do it during halftime. You do it on TNT and the tip-off. You don't do it in the middle of a fourth quarter. That's how bad this game was. They were doing everything they could to come up with some kind of compelling content because it certainly wasn't the form of the LA Clippers competitive against the Denver Nuggets. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. What was your big takeaway from Game 7 between the Clippers and the Nuggets, and how much blame do you assign to James Harden for the Clippers falling so short? I understand a lot of people are going to look at his postseason reputation and cite this as another example for the beard coming up small. Again, my opinion, 16 years into his NBA career, the guy has 10 first-half assists. This loss is not on him. Could he have done more? Absolutely. But this, to me, does not tarnish James Harden whatsoever. What say you? Again, number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. That's the way you can hit us up on our busy phone lines. You can always hit me up personally at Shep on Air, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram. You can check us out in the YouTube chat if you can't get through the busy phone lines. Connor Armstrong, have you seen our YouTube chat? Have you been in there yet?
I have not yet, but I assume it gets pretty active.
You damn right it does.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
it's
sir.
show within the show. Now, when we work together, do you meander to the YouTube chat? Do you check it out or?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
But busy with the phones over here.
Full of opinions.
Yes.
Full
Absolutely.
Full of opinions on that. Connor, there was not just one Game 7 on Saturday.
There was not.
There was a very compelling Game 7 on the ice,
Awesome story.
and a lot more competitive than what we saw from the NBA hardwood floor. We're going to get your calls on Game 7 of the Clippers and Nuggets on the other side, and we're also going to recap an incredible Miko Magic Saturday. We'll explain that next. This is The Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. We're coming right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, Shep, thanks for taking my call. Man, you're one of the best broadcasters of all time, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. You know what was kind? Hockey. Hockey was kind to sports fans on Saturday. Not basketball. Got to give the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars a lot of credit. Both teams showed up. Playoff hockey always seems to deliver. There's no exception there. You got to give Mikko Rantanen an unbelievable amount of credit, man. 3 goals in the third period alone against his former Colorado Avalanche team. And remember, the Avalanche were up 2-0 in this contest. And for the Stars to storm back in the way they did was incredible. And again, it's got to be even sweeter for Mikko, considering this was his former team, was with them for this past decade. And unfortunately had to deal with not one but two trades within a 6-week time frame. You also saw him assist on Wyatt Johnston's tie-breaking power play goal with a little less than 4 minutes to go to complete that third period hat trick. And then you saw the 3 goals. And it was his second 4-point period this series, becoming the second player in NHL history to accomplish that in a Game 7. And you know Dallas, they're going to be playing the winner of the Blues and obviously the Jets, not the New York Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. And they're hoping it's the Blues because they would have home ice if that's the case. But this is all about the redemption of Rantanen. Man, Mikko Magic was certainly on full display on Saturday. You know, for him to kind of bounce back from being traded not once but twice within a 6-week time frame, it really goes to show you, let's be real, Colorado, they made the right move in, thinking that he was not their guy. I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, terrible decision to let this guy go. And he was scoring from all over the ice. That first goal was from the middle circle. The second goal was the wraparound goal. Always helps when it ricochets off of a former player's, skates. And then that third goal was an empty netter. Unbelievable performance, without question, from Mikko. And the reality is, man, like, you can't say enough about this type of a performance on this big of a stage. And he talked about his Game 7 heroics on ESPN. Let's take a listen.
No words to describe, the belief in the group, the whole team of ours, there was no quit at any point, I think obviously they get a goal first shift of the third, but we just kept going, there was still chatter on the bench and we knew we got to earn a couple bounces and we did, and big win, so I'm happy for the group.
He kept going like this. You're not going to find too many freaking hat tricks in a Game 7, especially when it's one player outscoring an entire team by himself. He had more goals in the third period than the Colorado Avalanche had for the entire game. And this empty netter, this ultimately capped off one of the all-time great Game 7 performances you will ever see in the history of Stanley Cup playoffs. Take a listen. This is courtesy, of course, of the Stars Radio Network.
Sagan clears Rantanen for the hat trick. Of course! The hats rain down, and the Stars will move on.
Look, we needed a pick-me-up from what took place in the NBA in that Game 7. Certainly, you saw Mikko Rantanen do that, and then some unbelievable Game 7 performance. I don't have the number in front of me, Connor. I'm trying to find this out. How many hat tricks have there been in a Game 7? I know he's only the second player in NHL Stanley Cup postseason history to have 2 4-point games in the same series.
Right.
How many hat tricks in a Game 7? I was looking for that number.
Because, I know, being a big Ranger fan, I know that Mark Messier did it in Game 6 against the Devils in the 90s. So
right.
That's a good question. I'm going to have to look that one up as well.
Guess what? I'm the good Shepard. You don't have to look that up. Guess what the answer is?
Ooh. I'm going to say...
And I want to specify this.
Yeah.
To have a hat trick, not just for the game.
Yeah.
We're not a game. We ain't talking about a game. Shout out Allen Iverson. In the third period.
Right.
How many times has this been done? Best guess in Stanley Cup postseason history. I know the answer. Do you know?
In Game 7s or in the playoffs?
In
altogether?
A Game 7 of a third period. Do you know the answer to that?
I'm going to go with this one. It's just once.
Oh, you think it's just once?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. We'll see what Barry in Boston says. Barry, I appreciate your patience, man. I know you've been waiting quite some time to talk hockey. Get in here, man. What do you have for us on Game 7?
Hey, it was incredible. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Kentucky Derby. So
we haven't talked about the Kentucky Derby yet.
Well,
you gotta wait for
right now.
You gotta wait for me to talk about it, Barry. I gotta tease it first, man.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm just joking. I'm just joking, Barry.
It was awesome. The Kentucky Derby was awesome. It was so wet, so I said, "Let's go. Let's put some money down for the underdog," and it was incredible. But
so Sovereignty ran
Derby,
Churchill Downs.
Talk about that.
No, so I know this. Sovereignty ran Churchill Downs as a 2-year-old, right? And Sovereignty was not in the lead until essentially the final 1/8 of the mile that they run, and I think it was 2:02. Pretty fast mile, if you ask me. Yeah, I can't believe there's been 150 of these before 2025, by the way. Did you know there was 151 Kentucky Derbies, Barry?
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Barry, that's almost
awesome.
that's almost as old as you.
Yeah, almost as old as me. So, talk about the NHL now.
Let's hear it, man.
Let's go back. When I heard that Dallas was losing 2-0
Yep.
to Colorado, I thought the game was over.
Most people did too.
So I actually turned it off. There was 13 minutes left. It was 2-0. And what happened after that? Oh my God. The NHL is incredible.
Hey, Barry, let me ask you a question.
I mean,
because I agree with you. How many hat tricks have there been in the third period of a Game 7 in NHL history before? So we know Mikko Rantanen accomplished that on Saturday. How many times has that happened before in NHL postseason history?
I would say 0.
Okay. Barry, you're a wise man. Now, did you guess that because Connor Armstrong guessed that, or do you feel strongly that
No,
it's... Okay.
I'm just saying, I mean, a hat trick in one period?
Yeah, in one period.
That's insane.
Not just one period. The final period of a Game 7 and doing it against your former team. Barry, I'm going to reveal to you in about 2 minutes how many times that has been done in NHL Stanley Cup playoff history. Sound good?
That's insane. So a lot of people might not know what hat trick is. That means you score 3 goals.
Barry, there is no one listening to our conversation right now that doesn't know what a hat trick is. You don't have to know, you don't have to know who Wayne Gretzky is. You know what a hat trick is. They have it in soccer too.
That's right, brother. All right,
Barry.
I love you.
We love you too, Barry.
Right.
Always good to hear from you, brother. You be well, okay? We'll talk soon. Always good to hear from Barry in Boston. Kavita Davidson, how you been?
I've been all right.
Yeah,
exciting day for sure.
The NBA not so much.
I mean, it was an absolute blowout, but I guarantee you that there were some Nuggets fans who were still holding their breath after that round 2 loss last year.
That's fair.
You know,
that's a good point. Yeah, I hear you. But the
state of Colorado has had some rough Game 7s.
You could say that again. Do you know offhand, by the way, how many hat tricks there have been in the history of Game 7 third periods before Saturday?
I do not know, but I would have also guessed 0.
I'm not. I don't say this to be like condescending, so I don't mean it to come off this way. Like, you guys are on the money with this. So this is the first time in NHL postseason history where a hat trick occurred in the final period of a Game 7.
The decisive period of a decisive game. Mikko playing against his former team.
Mikko
also,
Magic.
that really incredible.
You're a big basketball fan?
Uh huh.
Okay. How much blame do you assign to James Harden? I think too much blame is going to his direction right now just because of some of his other playoff failures.
Yeah, I think it's too much blame. Yeah, okay, 7 points, I think, 2 for 8 shooting. He had 13 assists, though. He was dishing the ball really well. The Nuggets offense was just running on all cylinders, as I will tell you in this update.
Sorry to bury the lead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But honestly, you got 5 players in double digits. Russell Westbrook with a ridiculous game off the bench.
Sure.
They were just unstoppable, but they also have a tall task ahead of them.
Yeah, but they split the season series 2-2, and obviously, to your point, they have to eradicate those doldrums and that scar tissue from blowing that Western Conference semifinal series against the Timberwolves. I hear what you're saying. I don't think the Clippers showed up.
Yeah.
I think they showed up for one quarter, and they were more than content just to punt on the season. I did not see any intensity. I didn't see vigor. I didn't see desire. I didn't see competitiveness. Russell Westbrook, who was a poor free throw shooter, misses it badly, gets his own rebound. There is no pressure, no contention whatsoever. He goes right back to the hole as if it's game 58 of a regular season.
Well, and how are you being blown out by a team when Nikola Jokic was maybe the 3rd best player on the floor today?
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
Really,
right.
That's kind of inexcusable.
Him and Jamal Murray started 0-8, and at that time, the Nuggets were still winning. Like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic go 0-8. You're thinking the Clips at this point. I mean, they're up double figures. Disaster. Absolute disaster. Well, Kavita, it's always great to have you on the Good Shepard, and you're going to hear from her update momentarily. Folks, number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Good job with that guest, Connor. You got us rolling in the right direction, man, so good job out of you. When we get back, we're going to continue to take your calls on everything Game 7, not just in the NBA, but the NHL as well. There was also, you're going to hear it in Kavita Davidson's update, of course, a big-time race involving the Kentucky Derby. We'll give you the details on that as well on the other side. We'll get to your phone calls. Before we do anything else on the Good Shepherd, let's get to our latest Sport Flash with the aforementioned Kavitha Davidson.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Shep, a riddle sponsored by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com. NBA playoffs Game 7, Nuggets eliminate the Clippers 120-101 in a game they absolutely dominated.
Poked away to steal Westbrook again. Dog, two hands! And if I said it once, I'll say it again. This thing is still over.
Call courtesy of Nuggets Radio Network. Russell Westbrook finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals off the bench for Denver. All 5 starters in double figures as well. Also, Stanley Cup Playoffs Game 7, Dallas stuns Colorado 4-2 despite being held scoreless more than 6 minutes into the third. Mikko Rantanen scored the Stars' first two goals to tie it at 2, and then the icing on the cake at the end of the game.
Sagan clears Rantanen for the hat trick, of course! The hats rain down, and the Stars will move on!
Call courtesy of Stars Radio Network. And over at Churchill Downs, Sovereignty won the Kentucky Derby, beating the favorite Journalism in the final furlong of the race. Folks, we had 3 Grand Slams in Major League Baseball yesterday. Daniel Schneemann with the go-ahead slam in the 9th to give the Guardians a 5-3 win over the Blue Jays. Kyle Stowers with the walk-off slam, Marlins over the A's 9-6. And Matt Chapman, salami in the 6th. The Giants beat the Rockies 6-3. Dodgers beat the Braves 10-3. Shohei Ohtani went 3 for 4 with a homer and a walk, scored 3 and drove in 1. Rays beat the Yankees 3-2. Aaron Judge with his 11th home run. Astros defeat the White Sox 8-3. Jake Myers goes 4 for 4 with 2 homers and 7 RBI. Padres edge the Pirates 2-1. Fernando Tatis Jr. scored the go-ahead run on a wild pitch in the 9th. And the Twins beat the Red Sox 4-3. Cody Clemens' first game at Fenway with Roger Clemens in the stands, and he put on a show for Dad, hit his first home run. Angels beat the Tigers 5-2. Phillies over the Diamondbacks 7-2. Nationals beat the Reds 11-6. Mariners edge the Rangers 2-1, and the Cubs over the Brewers 6-2. I'm Kavitha Davidson.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You are the best. I just want to say I so respect your sports knowledge in all the sports. You're obviously like a super expert in the NBA, but you know all the sports for years back. Like you have such perfect, what my parents would call bedside manners, where you are polite to listeners. You don't cut them off.
This is the Good Shepard.
Welcome back, everybody. David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I know a lot of people have been tweeting me and putting in the YouTube chat that, I got to mention the Lakers. I got to talk about their demise, their downfall. Trust me, I haven't forgotten. We're going to get to that. Connor, we got some sound of the Lakers, so we're going to talk about that. Do we have any post-Kentucky Derby sound from Sovereignty speaking?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, fair enough. It's too bad. Look, Sovereignty, incredible finish at the Kentucky Derby. Wasn't even in the top 6 in the first quarter mile. Same could be said for the first half mile. Same could be said for the first 3/4 mile. But what you saw was Citizen Bull actually leading this for quite some time. But then Sovereignty, was taking out each horse one by one. And then you saw in that final turn, it was stride for stride with journalism. No, not the field, the horse. And finishes with a mile time of 2:02.31. And I thought I was fast in the mile. All right, that's my one dad joke for the show. All you can ask for in the final 100 yards is that it's neck and neck, and that's exactly what you got in the 151st Kentucky Derby. You saw him, Sovereignty, at Churchill Downs as a 2-year-old. Great middle move to get behind journalism. You could really get the sense that, I'm sorry, I'm trying to break this horse right now. How much are we going to do about this? It's the Kentucky Derby, so I'll be respectful. So I'm breaking this down like it's an NBA game. Like, great middle move to get behind journalism and to get to the outside. I'm not going to pretend to be Bob Baffert or Randy Moss. Not Randy Moss, the first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver. Randy Moss, the horse racing analyst on NBC. If you want to call about the Kentucky Derby, call us up, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. All right, who did Jody have on as a Kentucky Derby guest? I know he had someone. I
did have someone, but I was not here yet.
Okay.
So
doesn't
I'm
he
not
have the same person?
sure.
Doesn't he have the same person every year?
Pretty much. And Jody nailed the winner too. By the way, he was telling people sovereignty for weeks.
Really?
That he was gonna win. Yes.
So listen, I would never doubt Jody Mack. Never doubt Jody Mack.
Yeah.
But you're telling me there's not guesswork to this?
I mean, for sure, but just him.
How do you know?
That's the thing. Like he's been involved with it for so long. He knows more horse racing than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Ron Flatter, that's the guy.
Yes,
Ron Flatter,
that's
one of
him.
the more unique names you'll ever see in the history of sports media. Ron Flatter was Ron Flatter. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you text Ron Flatter and tell him I am good enough to get away with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert when it comes to horse racing. If he wants to come on, I will give him a platform to talk about the Kentucky Derby. Sound good?
You got it.
You don't have to do that. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. The best is when Jody has Ron Flatter on, and he goes, and what does he call him? The Flat Man?
Yes.
That's the best. Let's get to Gilberto in San Diego. The Kentucky Derby was anything but flat. Gilberto, how you doing, my friend? I'm sorry about your Clippers, man.
They didn't show up, David. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Well, you know, one bit of news for you. The 3 LA teams are out. The Kings, the Lakers, and the Clippers.
Well, I'll tell you who's not out. And I know Ohtani homered on Saturday. And I'm pretty sure the Dodgers, I'm almost positive they won. They have the best record in baseball right now.
That's right. And I listened to the game, and after the game, you know, David Bassett, the Dodger insider, he interviewed Ohtani because of the games he's had. And instead of talking about him, he talked about Sasaki. Today was his first win. The kid is 23 years old. They've been staying with him. He's been learning. And I was really happy that he didn't take any credit for what he did, but he put it on Sasaki and his performance. And, I mean, you know I love the Dodgers, but do you see what Tatis did today?
No, I'm not going to lie. I didn't.
I won't tell you. Take a look at it, okay?
Right. Now, I didn't look. I didn't see it, but I did.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I know he went 1 of 4.
Well, at the end of they were tied. He legged a double.
Yep.
Stole third and scored on a wild pitch that barely went 2 feet off the plate.
It was so obviously he pulled the Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the kid is playing. Tatis, is playing MVP level. I mean, you have to admire when a player goes like that.
I mean, listen. Gilberto,
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this. I mean, the NL West, how competitive it is, not from top to bottom, because the Rockies suck. No disrespect to any Colorado Rockies fan, they are awful. They are actually the worst team in Major League Baseball, and that's pretty hard when you have the White Sox in the American League. But the NL West, in terms of the first 4 teams, even the Diamondbacks, you could potentially have 4 teams in the playoffs from this division. You're definitely going to have 3: the Dodgers, Padres, and the Giants. I'm shocked if any of those 3 teams are looking from the outside in come October when it comes to the postseason. I would be shocked, Gilberto.
Well, it's a long season, but yeah, you're right. I will put the Diamondbacks ahead of the Giants because they have better pitching.
Sure,
much better pitching. But it's gonna get to be a great season for all of the National League West. And regarding the Clippers, I cannot believe they didn't show up, David. And I am really happy that you're not a gambler.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could.
Really
Well,
happy.
Gilberto, I can't afford to be a gambler. I work in radio, not television. So I can't afford it. But let's be real about this, though. They did show up in the first quarter. That's what's so head scratching about this, and you don't know how many more chances they're going to get, especially with this particular roster, right? Because look, Kawhi Leonard's going to be going into year 14. James Harden's going to be going into year 17. Norman Powell's not a spring chicken. Ivica Zubac is not a spring chicken. I feel like he's been in the NBA for a decade now. So this was their time. This was their shot. And I feel like when they lost Game 4, because that was a very convincing.
That was a killer. That was you gotta remember.
Yeah.
But you gotta remember they were down 20 points at the start of the fourth quarter in Game 4.
I know.
So they came back, they took the lead, and they couldn't close it.
Correct. And that would have been a 3-1 series lead. And look, it's disappointing. You have the coach. Ty Lue's one of the better coaches in the NBA. But to me. And I got to give Kawhi Leonard a lot of credit, man. He balled out in this series. He averaged 25 points per game. He shot 53% from the floor, and you still lose. You still lose, Gilberto. So that's what's disappointing about this. But you know what? There's going to be sunnier days ahead from LA. Thank God for the Dodgers. Thank God for the Dodgers.
That's the one. That's the one that I love the most.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, you and Vince Scully have that in common. R.I.P. Vince Scully. We know you're in heaven at this point. Gilberto, always a pleasure, man. You be well. We'll talk next weekend, okay, my friend?
Of course, my friend, and I will keep listening to hear everybody's take on all of the points that you're making. Okay.
Thank you, Gilberto. Always good to hear from my friend Gilberto in San Diego. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. You consider horse racing a sport, Connor?
I've been thinking about this all day. And
we didn't plan this conversation.
No.
Just so for anyone listening for the first time, do we plan anything?
No. Just the cuts is pretty much it.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
But this is so tough.
Is golf a sport?
Yes.
Cheerleading?
Yes.
Horse racing?
I'm going to say, oh, God, man, this is so hard.
I think it's more about high society than it is an actual sport. Like, it's an event.
Yes.
You marvel at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's appointment television.
Yeah.
You can't take your eyes off the horse racing. Like, it's fun. I mean, I can't break it down the way Jody can.
No.
He's amazing in his ability to dissect it. I can't, but outside of like the 3 big races, I can't get into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a ton of respect for the jockeys because
for sure
that timing that they have to have with those horses, be able to be on the same page as your teammate is an animal, so you can't really communicate
the way
that normal teammates would.
And that's not a characteristic. Like, they literally are an animal.
Yeah,
they're not human. So you can't really have like a one-on-one conversation if things get heated, right? You can't really do anything to cool down.
Yeah.
After the fact. So, but I enjoy the 151st Kentucky Derby.
Me too.
Listen, if y'all want to call about it and talk about it, this is an open platform. This is your show as much as it's my show. I'm going to keep that real all the time. So feel free to call about the Kentucky Derby if you were excited about it, if it was compelling for you. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We got a lot of people on the hold. We're going to get to all your calls on the other side. And I did not forget about the impressive Minnesota Timberwolves this past week. They destroyed the LA Lakers. They sent them home. They sent them packing. We'll look at both sides on the other end, along with taking your calls. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. This is The Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. You can always follow me at Shep on Air. We're coming right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me.
Back to the Good Shepherd.
Hey, that's me. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. Number to get aboard is 855-7... No, that's the old number. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. Should be called the Forgetful Shepherd, not the Good Shepherd. Listen, speaking of forgetful, the Lakers wish 2024 and 2025 would be forgetful. You got to give the Timberwolves their due. Game 5, it's a closeout game for them. They take care of business, get up 21-9 in the first quarter, and this is as embarrassing as it gets for LA. Now, I know a lot of people have wanted to, get my opinion and get my take on the Lakers and Timberwolves. Let's start with the Timberwolves first, and I'll get to the Lakers later on in the show. you got to give Anthony Edwards all the credit in the world. He's just 23 years old. He's got the confidence of someone that has been in the NBA for 15 years. He is not afraid of anybody. And when he found out that people were predicting the Lakers in 5, he put it upon himself to make sure that prediction was going to be the opposite, which it was. It was Minnesota in 5. And clearly, one team was playing with a chip on their shoulder. And this is what's scary for the rest of the Western Conference right now. Minnesota shot less than 15% from 3 in Game 5. Anthony Edwards himself was 0 of 11 from downtown. They missed 18 straight at one point. Connor Armstrong and myself would shoot better than what the Timberwolves shot from the three-point range in Game 5. And they still won that game. It's the worst three-point shooting percentage game in NBA postseason history. And they still won on the road. What does that tell you about how dangerous they are as a team? And the one guy that should get more credit than anyone from what took place in game number 5, 27 points. 27 points, 24 rebounds on 80% shooting for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, it was Rudy Gobert? Oh, I apologize. Rudy Gobert, not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's
Close.
A Kareem Abdul-Jabbar type game. Unbelievable performance from Rudy Gobert. And you know what? He dominated. There's no other way to get around it. Rudy Gobert was sensational. Connor, question for you.
Yes.
I know you love the trivia on this show.
I do.
Name me another player in NBA postseason history in a closeout game that went for 27, 24 on 80% shooting.
His name came up, so I'm going to say Kareem. No.
Never been done before.
Wow.
Rudy Gobert was the first.
That's insane.
Rudy, I mean, listen, this is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Like, he might get into the Hall of Fame on that. He ain't getting into anywhere based on his offense.
No.
He looked like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there.
Dominant.
Like Wilt Chamberlain. God rest his soul.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy was sensational. And anytime you join Kevin Garnett as the only other guy in postseason history for the Minnesota Timberwolves to go for a 2020 game, you know that is very elite company. And look, you got to credit the Timberwolves. They knew what they were doing on offense. It's just pick on Luka Doncic day. Luka allowed 9 blow-bys in one game, and that was Game 5. One game, 9 blow-bys. The Timberwolves clearly knew what they were doing. Chris Finch coached circles around J.J. Redick. And Anthony Edwards, he didn't play great in Game 5. There's no other way to get around it, just 15 points. But he still finishes with a series average of 27 points per game. Not bad for a guy who is just 23 years old. And he still manages to become just 2 assists shy of having a triple-double in that closeout game. So you got to give the Timberwolves their due, their credit. And then Julius Randle, a lot of Knicks fans felt like he was not going to be the answer for them, and they're glad that the Knicks traded him for Karl-Anthony Towns. Let me tell you something. Julius Randle is better in a Timberwolves uniform than Karl-Anthony Towns ever was, especially in the postseason. 23 points per game on 48% shooting. Hey, Ant-Man, how does it feel to close out the Lakers like this?
You know what makes it feel even better is that they said Lakers in 5 and the Wolves won in 5. So I think that makes it feel 10 times better.
Oh! That was my how there. Rudy Gobert, I guarantee you can do better. We won't ask you to do it, though. What do you make of this incredible performance by you and your team?
I think we just have a bunch of guys that want to win. And a lot of guys have been through a lot of adversity throughout their career, throughout their life. And, we love each other. We understand that one night it might be Naz, one night it might be me, Julius. But we just want to win. And, all the things we went through throughout the season just prepared us for this moment.
Hey, man, that was courtesy of TNT. I have a feeling TNT, specifically Charles and Shaq, they're not going to be making fun of Rudy Gobert anytime soon. And if he's ever in an All-Star game again, probably won't get picked last. Incredible performance from the Timberwolves, knocking out the Lakers in 5. I know a lot of people are sick and tired of Lakers talk because it feels like that's always the narrative when it comes to the NBA. We'll get to the Lakers' perspective on this, but I wanted to at least begin talking about the Timberwolves-Lakers series with a very impressive performance from Minnesota. It's going to be very exciting to see what they do in the next round, depending on who it's going to be between the Warriors and, of course, the Rockets. And we didn't forget about previewing that Game 7. That's certainly on the docket for the Good Shepherd on this show. But for now, let's get to the busy phone lines, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. My question for you is this. How impressed were you with the Minnesota Timberwolves taking care of business against the Lakers in 5? Let's get to Dan in California. Dan, I appreciate your patience, man. Hope you're having a good morning so far. What do you have for us, sir?
Yeah, I was impressed. I'm a Warriors fan since the early 70s.
Sure.
In fact, I was a junior in high school when they won their first championship on the West Coast.
Rick Barry. That's right, man. Great. And remember
Rick Barry.
That's right. And I remember Al Attles and Clifford Ray, right? Like, those are some special teams.
Yeah. But also, they were the Lakers of the 80s before the Lakers. I mean, they were like running like crazy on the Washington Bullets. It's just like you talk about flipping the series. Everybody said, oh, the Bullets are too strong. You know, Wes Unseld and those guys, they're going to win 4-0. Well, the Golden State Warriors beat them 4-0.
I do remember that, right? And you know, they could have repeated the next year. But everyone they stopped. Everyone stopped liking Rick Barry. They couldn't stand his personality.
Well, he's grading, that's sure. I mean, he's a bona fide top-notch Hall of Famer.
Without question.
Yeah, he's got a grading personality. But yeah, that Game 7, I was so disappointed against the Phoenix Suns. I thought, man, they should have won that. They should have won that series. I think they would have played against the Celtics a lot better, which the Suns lost to them. But you know, that's in the history books.
Yeah,
I'm worried about the team now.
Yeah, well, listen.
By the way, I do think horse racing is a sport, and I do feel bad for the fans of the Clippers.
Right.
Really
you know, Dan, the question going on in our YouTube chat right now is pickleball a sport? That's the next question in terms of what's a sport and what's not. You know, it's interesting to see what's going to happen in Game 7. You know, and I'll preview it a little more throughout the show. But what I will say is this: I love Steph Curry, Dan. It's impossible not to, right? Not just what he represents as a basketball player, but we say this all the time about people. And I don't know how true it always is, but it is true for Steph Curry. As great of a basketball player as he is, and at worst, he's a top 15 player of all time. At worst, he's an even better human being. Everything that he stands for, everything that he represents, who he is as a dad, as a husband, as a community leader, as an ambassador to the game. You can't say enough about him. With all that being said, he can't have on his resume blowing 2 3-1 series leads. He can't have that.
Yeah, he can't. But here's the deal: if you ever watch Monk, he likes to say that. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
You know, they say his name right? The coach,
Steve Kerr
for Houston.
Ime Udoka.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, great coach, I think. Yeah, he coached at Boston before, right?
He coached there for 1 year, and then he didn't have his affairs in order, and I'm putting that mildly, and then he had to find a new job. Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yes.
But anyway, it doesn't make him not a great coach. But
I agree.
I think he figured
makes him a bad. It makes him a bad husband, but it doesn't make him a bad coach.
Yeah, it's late night. You got it. You know, the thing is, I don't know if he figured this out or if he kind of knew. I knew they had a great record. I didn't watch them in the regular season really, but to go with the two bigs and the way Adams has come on so strongly.
Yeah.
The Warriors, they like to go undersized, you know.
Yeah, small ball with Draymond as a center,
talented guy.
Yeah, and Draymond's 6'6", and again, that was the best game I've seen Steven Adams play in probably 7 years. Like, for him to score 17 points on just 4 shot attempts, for him to have 3 blocks, for him to be all over the glass, for him to be just absolutely a rim protector. Yeah, the worst thing that could have happened to the Warriors was Dylan Brooks getting in foul trouble. And he never saw the light of day after that. And the Rockets were better with Steven Adams. So, Dan, I wish you luck, although I do not believe the Warriors are going to come out on top in Game 7, but I'm still rooting for the Warriors just for you. How does that sound, Dan?
I had an idea, though. What about putting Jonathan in some Kuminga? I mean,
yeah, that's the controversy. That's the controversy with the Warriors. I know, but they don't believe that he maximizes his strengths. He doesn't do a lot of the little things right. Although my contention would be, well, he's a great athlete. Look at what the Rockets are doing with Amen Thompson. Jonathan Kuminga can have a similar impact, but the Warriors don't want to listen to me. Dan, I appreciate the phone call, man. You have a good rest of your morning and weekend, okay?
Okay, thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you as well, man. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's get to Ryan, north of the border in Ontario, Canada. Ryan, how you doing, man? What you got for us on NHL playoff
Jeff, how's
hockey?
it going? Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, man.
So I love my Dallas Stars, right?
Yes. Yeah, sorry about that.
What's that?
No, I said you should be sorry, but then again, when you have 4 goals in the third period, what's not to love?
And Pete DeBoer used to coach Kitchener Rangers in the OHL.
I didn't know that.
And then Steve Spott is assistant coach. He used to coach the Guelph Storm.
Okay. Didn't know that either.
What's that?
I didn't know that either. I'm getting educated on some coaching in the NHL. I appreciate that.
And I gave my mom a heart attack tonight because I'm a big Dallas Stars fan.
Sure.
In 1999, when they won the first Stanley Cup.
Mike Modano, right?
Yeah, and it was kicked in, so Brett Hull kicked it in, so that was for video review, right?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, again, this is one of the greatest games you'll ever see from an individual performance. Mikko Rantanen, what he was able to do, man, 3 goals in the third period of a Game 7, when not only is that never been done in the history of NHL playoffs, but when you outscore in one period more goals than the entire team for the whole game, I don't know if that will ever be done again. And you did it against the team in which you basically were employed by for a decade. So how sweet this is. And you just can't say enough about Mikko Rantanen and how he was scoring. He was scoring from the circles. He was scoring from around the net. He was scoring on empty netters. What a time to be a Dallas Stars fan. And I have a feeling that Nico Harrison, at least for 2 days, will not be talked about in the city of Dallas. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing. and then one more thing, Shep.
Sure.
And then Matt Duchene, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he plays for the Kingston Frontenacs with my buddy from St. Thomas, Ontario, Corey Emerton.
Okay, I can't tell if this is a statement or a question or what, but nonetheless, Ryan, I appreciate the conversation, appreciate the phone call. You have a good rest of your morning, okay?
All right, thanks, brother.
Thanks, Ryan. Good to hear from you, man. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. It was almost like this was like an act, and we were like doing like a comedy duo, and like he was saying a name, and he was like waiting for me to jump in. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he started bringing up coaches in the OHL. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know where this is going. But.
Well, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not going to pretend like I know what he's talking about, right? I'm not going to pretend like to be an expert when it comes to like assistant coaches and the NHL and the OHL. Like, come on now. I mean, come on. Listen, just be thankful I did a Kentucky Derby segment.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get to Bruno in Chicago. Bruno, good morning, man. How you feeling? I know you're in a good mood. Your Cubs are playing pretty well this season.
We don't have a lot to cheer about in Chicago, so yeah, the Cubs are. When I heard you talking about the NL West, we kind of mowed through the top 3 of the top 4 teams, and we're done with them this year, thank goodness. But we still got the Giants. The Cubs are a murderous row right now. You can't really there's not an easy out in the lineup, and they're pitching well without their ace is gone for the year. It's something to keep an eye on. I know everyone's looking at the Dodgers, and they should.
Right.
But the Cubs are for real.
I mean, you got 2 guys with 9 home runs this season. In fact, if you look at the National League in terms of home runs, like you got 2 guys in the top 10. So that's pretty,
runs scored. Yeah, I mean, look at the runs scored. The Cubs lead the league. They got over 200 runs already. So, and their differential, I believe, is top as well. They beat teams 10-0. It helps a lot.
I'm doing the math in my head. You got 5 guys right now that are on pace for over 100 runs. That's really impressive.
Yeah,
that is
and
really
PCA,
impressive.
For Javi Baez, man, that was a steal.
Right. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know what PCA is, that's Pete Crow Armstrong. Just so we're all clear.
Everyone will know him when he's in the All-Star game this year.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reality is, I mean, he hasn't really done much in his career. Now, listen, the guy's just 23 years old, so I'm not putting it past him that he's not going to be a superstar at some point. But yeah, he's certainly on a trajectory to be an All-Star this year. There's going to be a couple. Actually, no, there's going to be more than a couple All-Stars from the Chicago Cubs, man, for sure. They've had an incredible season, and to your point, remember they got shellacked in the opening, round series in Major League Baseball by the Dodgers. Remember, it was an international game,
right?
And you're thinking, oh no, here we go again. Outside of 2016, what can the Cubs really clamor for in the last 20 years? Well, to your point, their last series against the Dodgers, they swept them, and then you talk about what they did against Arizona. They came out on top, victorious there. Now it's interesting because San Diego, that's actually even right now. They went 3-3 against the Padres this season.
Right. And I'll take that because the Padres were the best team in baseball when we played them.
That's fair. Now you know they're not the best team in baseball. That title belongs to the Dodgers. But I do hear what you're saying. The only cause for concern I have is that they're playing in such a cupcake division. Like, the reality is, and I know the Reds are decent, but there's really nothing to write home about in the Central besides the Chicago Cubs. In the NL East, you got 2 juggernauts in the Mets and Phillies, and then obviously in the NL West, you got the Padres, you got the Giants, you got the Dodgers. That's my only concern, is that Chicago is going to have a little bit of an imposter syndrome because they feel like they're beaten up on the weak, because that's just not a good division that they play in. And I understand you got to beat who's in front of you, but we'll see how that unfolds, man. But listen, baseball is better when Chicago's good. They're one of the all-time historical teams in Major League Baseball history. They got one of the all-time greatest parks in sports in Wrigley Field. So the reality is, when they're doing well, baseball is doing well. And right now, they're 2.5 games behind the Dodgers for the best record in baseball. So incredible season so far for the Cubbies, man.
When Chicago does well in any sport, it's good for all sports. It just hasn't happened in so long. I agree. With all the other teams.
Why haven't the Bears gotten the memo on that then?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know why they needed another tight end, but their draft class came out pretty tight with the grades. So we'll
listen,
see.
In my lifetime, Bruno, can they just have one freaking 4,000-yard passer? I mean, is it really that damn difficult? I mean, enough is enough at this point. Jeez. They got to get that. They got to get that done, man. Listen, they drafted high to get Caleb. They overlooked Jaden. They overlooked Bo. They better get it right with Caleb. I'll tell you that much. Hey, I appreciate the call, Bruno. You have a good rest of your morning.
Thank you for
the
time.
My pleasure,
you
man.
Too. Thanks.
Thank you for the insight as well, Bruno. Number to get aboard: 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. Let's get to Marty in Texas. Marty, good morning, man. What do you have for us?
Oh, I just wanted to say something about horse racing.
Marty, how old are you? Marty, how old are you?
78.
You sound no older than 58. You know that?
Yeah, so thank you. I've seen many horse races back way past Secretariat.
Seattle Slew?
Yep. And I can't believe you said that. They train all the time.
Oh no! I didn't say horse racing isn't a sport. No. I asked the question: is it a sport? I never acknowledged whether it's a sport or not. I just asked the question.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't think it was a sport.
No, that might have been our esteemed executive producer, Connor Armstrong. Connor, do you care to rebuttal with Marty? Marty's upset that you believe horse racing is not a sport. So explain to Marty and the rest of our listening audience why horse racing is not a sport.
Oh man, Marty, I don't mean to get into this with you, but I didn't really say it wasn't a sport either.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Let me ask either one of you.
Sure.
Is track and field a sport?
Yes.
That's
Marty.
a guy running around the track.
Yes,
and a horse race is a horse with a guy sitting on top of him.
Or a gal. But to your point, that's a human. Let me ask you a question, Marty. Is ping pong a sport?
Yeah.
You really consider ping pong to be a sport?
Well, anytime you compete, unless it's a spelling bee or something, I think it's a sport.
Okay, so Marty's ruling out Scrabble, and he's ruling out Candyland and Monopoly.
I hated Scrabble. I can't spell my name.
You can't spell Marty?
I hated that game.
Wait, time out. So is curling a sport?
I personally wouldn't think so, but I say it is.
But that's competition, though, right?
And it's
I say that. I think it is a sport.
Is bobsledding a sport?
Sure.
Is NASCAR a sport?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he's consistent. So you still by the way, you let Connor off the hook. He really still didn't give you an answer on why he thinks horse racing is not a sport. Connor, indulge us. Why is horse racing not a sport?
I did give the jockeys their credit, to be fair, that it's a very hard job. They have to try and communicate with their teammate, the animal, which is what I said. But,
you're trying to kiss up to Marty right now. You still haven't explained why it's not a sport.
I agree with you when you say it's more of an event than a sport.
I did say that.
I
you know what, Marty? That is fair. I did suggest that it is more of a spectacle and event than it is an actual sport. And that's true, by the way.
That's true about the Kentucky Derby and all the big horse races. But you know how many thousands of horse races go on a year that the elite aren't there?
Well, you just told me thousands, so I'm guessing thousands.
Yeah. Well, Lone Star Park has almost 600 in their on their schedule, and there's no elite at any of them.
Hey, Marty, were you old enough to watch Seabiscuit, or was that before your time?
No, that's a little before me.
Okay, got you. Because that was a hell of a movie.
Yeah, right? I've seen all the movies. Secretariat was a good movie, too.
I didn't even know Secretariat was a movie. I know it was I know he won the Triple Crown. I didn't know that turned into a movie.
Yeah, with what's her name? Cheney was the owner or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a movie. But and another major thing, you tell me any sport where 19 people get on the track and they all might die that day. It's dangerous.
Well, talk about bringing a good conversation down. Thanks, Marty.
You're welcome.
Horse racing is a dangerous sport. I mean, it is, and I think that's something that's overlooked. But listen, man, you're 78 years young. You sound youthful. Really appreciate your perspective on horse racing, Marty, and it's good to get some love when it comes to that sport, unlike Connor Armstrong, who's denying it ever being a sport. Marty.
Sorry, Marty.
Oh, I go about every other week to WinStar down here. I mean, not Win. I go there, but
Gotcha.
to Lone Star Park, I go about.
Marty,
we're doing this season.
Sound like a very spirited individual, my friend. We appreciate the call. You call back anytime, man. You enjoy the rest of your weekend, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Marty. Good to hear from Marty in Texas. I think that's the first time from Marty. I don't think I've ever spoken to him before.
I'm a big fan of Marty. That was a good call.
Man. Like 78 years young, like holding his own like that.
Love it.
Like still sharp as a tack.
Up at 3:30 in the morning.
2:30 his time. Big difference now. Number to get aboard is 888-710. Connor Armstrong doesn't believe horse racing is a sport for ISN. 888-710-4476. When we get back, we're going to continue to take all your calls. But you want to talk about small markets that aren't getting a lot of love? How about Cleveland? Cleveland rocks, not just because of the Drew Carey show, because of the way they're performing in the postseason. We get to that next. This is The Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. We're coming right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I made it on the air. Shep's amazing. I listen to him every Sunday morning. He's amazing.
This is the Good Shepherd.
Congratulations, by the way, speaking of amazing, to A.J. Brown and his fiancée Kelsey on their engagement. Shout out to Eagles Nation and shout out to Cavs Nation. They haven't played since Monday. They haven't needed to play after that because they destroyed the Miami Heat. Game 4 was the absolute quintessential performance by Cleveland, winning by 55 points. This is not a cupcake schedule when an ACC team faces a MAC team in October in a college basketball season. This is in the middle of the playoffs. So for them to win by 55 points in Miami, it's the largest series season clinching victory ever. And that wasn't the only record that was set in this series. The combined 92 points Cleveland won by for Games 3 and Game 4, the largest point differential in any two-game playoff span, and the 122-point differential is also a playoff record for the entire series. What has to make this an even more of a bitter pill to swallow is that 2 straight games, Cleveland did not have their other all-star in Darius Garland. And it ain't like Donovan Mitchell played all that great. They didn't just beat the Heat. They cruised in this sweep. And part of that difference is talent. The other is a game plan. They knew the best player for the Heat this year has been Tyler Hero. They picked on Tyler Hero throughout, especially on defense. And I know this led to a war of words between Garland and Hero, but nonetheless, Garland was right. He was absolutely right. The Cavs looked to target Tyler Hero, and it worked in their favor. And Hero was the opposite of being a hero against the Cavs on Monday because, unfortunately, when his best was needed, his worst came out. Game 4, he shot 1 of 10 from the floor. We got to give the Cavs a lot of credit, man. This was a record-breaking postseason series for them, not just in franchise history, but in NBA postseason history. And you see this team learn its lessons. That series never should have gone 7 games last year against the Orlando Magic in the first round. They understood once they got up in this series, they needed to finish the job. And this was a finished job if there ever was one against the Miami Heat. There's going to be a lot of different evaluations going on. You heard Bam Adebayo reference this at the end of his post-game press conference when he talked about the dude with the silver hair, that being Pat Riley. You know he has got to be absolutely just miserable with a performance like this by this team in a postseason series, especially in the first round. And the reality is we're inevitably going to see Cavs versus Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs certainly making a statement in round number 1 against the Miami Heat. Donovan Mitchell, he understands, this was a record-winning series for them. Again, point differential of 122, a 2-game span of winning by 92 points, and an elimination game-clinching best 55-point win differential. But they still, with all that being said, have much bigger goals.
We have a bigger goal in mind. I think for us, understanding that this is special. We've been doing special things all year, but we didn't come here just to sweep in the first round and get to the second. You know what I mean? So the goal is how can we, take advantage of this rest, this break, and then be ready to go for next round.
Remember, this was not a Heat team that backed their way in to the playoffs. They were the first 10 seed to ever win back-to-back road games just to get in the playoffs. You talk about Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson. These are individuals that have been key members for this Heat organization when they made the NBA Finals. I get they don't have Jimmy Butler, but they can't have a drop-off like this. Cleveland, being in a mid-market, they're not going to get the attention of New York or LA or Chicago, but they need to start getting that attention because what they did in round 1 is NBA history, and they don't want it to stop there. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. Let's get to Beck in Florida. What's up, Beck?
Cool running. Speaking of bobsledding, great movie.
Great movie.
Great intro. Thanks for bringing up more PTSD. I guess you queued that up knowing that I was going to be on. But welcome back to Connor on the twos.
That's right, man.
And with the Derby, don't know why they don't change the schedule. It seems every year it's wet, and especially all the money that is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There was a 23-minute delay. To your point, so that's a very good observation on your part.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't watch because it brings another more PTSD. Years ago, I missed out on 16,000 to 1 odds on the Superfecta, and I missed it by the number 3 horse took the spot, and I had the number 2 horse, and my number is number 3. I don't know why. Again, that haunts me to this day. That's why I don't even like talking about that. But the streak continues with the favorites not winning, and whoever represents the Florida Derby seems they always run great in the Kentucky Derby. And did you see who owns Flying Mohawk?
No, I did not.
Jason Worth, baseball player.
Oh, the former Philly.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I didn't know that either until today. Doing my research to put in some of the things. But how about Dallas and Amico? Not a Nico, but if you see him, I haven't heard from him in a while. Please send my regards. I hope he's doing well, and he hopefully maybe
actually,
still works
you know what's funny? If Nico is literally right across the room for our local affiliate WFAN on the Odyssey side. So Nico, literally, I will tell him the next time I see him, Beck from Florida says hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. And guess what? With that, what did I tell you about the conference finals? My teams are still in it. And Dallas and Florida, I think, is going to be the finals. Okay. And it should have happened last year. And maybe some bias in that going state to state. But I think there's strong teams. And this Avalanche series, I thought should have been a conference finals series as well. And to get that in the first round and the crazy ending. And again, it's the playoffs. It's the cup. 7 games, overtimes, whatever. Nothing beats it.
Well, nothing. I mean, you want to talk about Mika Magic? Like that was just. I mean, 3 goals in 1 period, and the closeout period at that. When your team's down 2-0 in a game 7, I mean, that's just. It doesn't get more magical than that. And then to do it against your former team, a team in which you were basically employed by for a decade, that's special, man.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, well, you do now.
Yeah, again, we learn everything all the time. So, speaking of today/tomorrow or whatever, we got F1 Miami down here making the news. I guess Max is probably going to win again. And back to the guy, the earlier Marty, the party, is racing a sport? Not just NASCAR, but is racing as a whole considered a sport?
Are we talking F1? What kind of racing are we talking
about?
Well,
just all like F1. Again, I mean, people don't really think NASCAR is really a sport, but then F1 they may think because they don't just turn left.
Right. Well, let me ask you this question: is sailing a sport?
To me, I mean, yes. I mean, all those things. Like Marty said, if it's competition or whatever, I mean, I guess you got to look at it.
So, do you consider Badlands Booker an athlete?
Who?
You don't know who Badlands Booker is? So he. I
thought you said poker, like some kind of poker game.
No, Badlands Booker, like guys like Joey
Chestnut, poker, right?
Guys like Joey Chestnut, Kobayashi. Like, are those guys athletes when they shove hot dogs down their throat and are able to consume 60 in the course of 2-3 minutes?
I mean, again, if I can't do it, I respect those people, and I consider it a sport, so,
right.
Good for them, because I ain't doing it, so,
That's fair. There's also a guy that made a music video, and this is trending on social media right now, and he didn't have enough money for, fire effects, so he actually set his pants on fire because he couldn't afford, effects. I'm sure you couldn't do that. Do you consider him an athlete? Do you have respect for that because he did that?
No,
okay. All right, good.
No, one of them.
Good.
But the same as running, too. You're a runner, and we got, speaking of, tomorrow, the 5K in Tampa. My boy Bert Kreischinger and Tom Segura and Jelly Roll is going to be there. And
well, I'll tell you this much: he may be there. Jelly Roll ain't running any 5K, and Bert.
No, it's a walking, running.
Okay, and tell Bert to keep his shirt on, man. Tell him to be a little more original.
It's going to be off.
Okay, yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, Beck, you are never off.
I love you guys. Keep it real as always.
You too, man.
Thank you for everything.
Of course.
Until
Beck,
next week.
Likewise, man. Always good to hear from Beck in Florida. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. There was not too much controversy when it came to the Miami Heat Cleveland Cavaliers series. These games were not close. There was a very close game when it came to Milwaukee and the Indiana Pacers. But that's not what the big takeaway was. It was, how far can you go as a fan when it comes to the playoffs? We'll explain on the other side. We'll get to your phone calls, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. If you cannot get through our busy phone lines, you can always hit me up personally at Shep on Air on any social media website. When we get back, your phone calls. We relive something that took place in Milwaukee and Indiana that has nothing to do with the actual meltdown of Milwaukee in game number 5. It had to do with a fan getting way too up close and personal with Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll get to that next. Before we do anything else, let's get to our latest sports flash with Kavitha Davidson.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
Well, Shep, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. NBA playoffs Game 7. Nuggets dominate the Clippers 120-101, but the final score is much closer than this game ever was. Denver led by as many as 35, all 5 starters in double digits. Russell Westbrook with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals off the bench for Denver. After the game, Russ talked about what he brings to his team.
You know, my ability to be able to be a force of nature on the floor is what I pride myself on. So whatever that looks like, it may be a turnover, it may be a missed shot, but it may be a steal, maybe a dunk, maybe a missed 3, maybe a made 3. It's gonna be all of that. It's gonna be everything. So you just take it for how it comes, and whatever happens, you go with it. And I've always been like that. As long as I leave it on the floor, and God willing, to be able to go out and continue to compete, I'm grateful for it.
Stanley Cup playoffs Game 7, Colorado had a 2-0 lead over Dallas with 13 minutes to go in the game, but Mikko Rantanen scored a hat trick and Wyatt Johnston with the game winner. That's 4 goals for the Stars in the third. They eliminate the Avs 4-2. A soggy day at Churchill Downs, Sovereignty bested journalism to win the 151st Kentucky Derby. Major League Baseball action, Dodgers beat the Braves 10-3. Freddie Freeman clearly comfortable hitting in Atlanta.
3-1 pitch, and Freeman hits the ball high and deep to center field. This ball is back, and this ball is gone. Freddie Freeman with a 3-run homer here in Atlanta, and the Dodgers lead it 10-3.
Call courtesy of Dodgers Radio Network. Freeman went 3 for 5 with 4 RBI against his former team. Grand slams all around MLB. Guardians come from behind against the Blue Jays 5-3 ninth inning go-ahead slam by Daniel Schneemann. Not to be outdone, Kyle Stowers walks off against the A's with a grand slam. Marlins win 9-6, and Matt Chapman with a slam in the 6th. Giants beat the Rockies 6-3. I'm Kavitha Davidson.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I made it on the air. Shep's amazing. I listen to him every Sunday morning. He's amazing.
This is the Good Shepherd.
Welcome back, everybody. David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. It was not just a loss from Milwaukee against the Indiana Pacers in their Game 5 series. It was an absolute collapse. I have not seen a loss like this in NBA postseason history for quite some time. You were up by 20 in the first half. You were up by 4 with 53 seconds left in regulation. You were up by 7 with less than 40 seconds left in overtime. You miss a free throw, then allow a wide open 3 to Andrew Nembhard, who at no point of that game should have been that wide open, especially when you were up by 7 and all you need to do is get one stop. Now you're still up by 4. Gary Trent Jr., for whatever reason, inexplicably jumps up in the air and has a turnover with his pass. Now, I don't understand why the hell he's picking up his dribble and making a jump pass in the air in the first place, but the reality is incredibly disappointing. And then A.J. Green, he's on Tyrese Halliburton. He might as well have not been playing any defense because he allows Tyrese to go right by him for an easy and one. First of all, you don't foul in that situation. You definitely don't let him go by you. And then you're thinking, okay, the Bucks at least are they're only up by 1, but they're going to finish the deal somehow. Well, Gary Trent Jr. pulls a Bill Buckner. The ball goes right through his legs. Then Giannis is guarding Tyrese Halliburton. And for some reason, Giannis allows Tyrese Halliburton to go to his right, and that was all she wrote. Talk about balance? Yes, the Pacers certainly had that. You got 7 guys this postseason averaging double figures, but that's not why the Pacers won Game 5. They won because the Bucks completely collapsed. But that's not what most people are talking about when it comes to Milwaukee. They're talking about the aftermath of that game. We'll get to that on the other side. Let's get to LaPraine in Cleveland, who's been patient. LaPraine, appreciate you as always, my friend. What do you have for us, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Shep?
How you doing, LaPraine?
Shep, I really appreciate that you've given us a little respect because we don't get none on First Take. I get so tired of them talking about the Los Angeles Lakers all the time.
I know.
And it's a shame that we don't get it because we're a small city. But we not the mistake on the lake anymore. And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be a hard series, but we will prevail because I like Miles Turner and I like Stavakovic and I like Hogan. What's his name? Hagenberg?
Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah, I like him. I like him too.
Yes.
Hey, and you know, Shep, we hope his dad stay home because he's not allowed in Indianapolis.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future, and that's what I'm going to be talking about next segment is just fans understanding they have to be fans. They can't be part of the game. That's not their role.
Yeah. And you know what I understand too, Shep? His son got in on a press conference, and he was a little peed off about that. He told his dad that he was wrong for doing that.
100%.
Because you just don't do that. Because you know, a Freaknik is a beautiful guy. He's a good role model for the NBA.
Giannis Antetokounmpo exemplifies so many good qualities. Agreed.
And it wasn't right what he did. And I was more or less like, you know, sometimes we have to be the dad because I'm 66 years old. My son came over today to cut my hair, and he's 45. And I talk to him because I put you on this earth, and he listens to me.
Yes.
And some of these guys act like because their son makes millions of dollars, they got to follow their rule.
Right.
I don't care how much money that if my son was making millions of dollars, if he's wrong, Shep, I'm going to check him and tell him what's right. So what they need to do is more or less stay away from that court because it wasn't right what he did. And another thing I want to tell you, Shep, is that the Cavaliers, we're going to go to the finals. And
love the confidence.
When we do go to the finals, we're going to beat Boston if we come to play. We can't come out the gate early. We got to come out the gate.
I agree. I agree.
We got to come out the gate early,
yes.
And we have to have Darius Garland healthy. His toe bothering him. But I tell you what, Shep, we got a great bench. We got a guy named Ty Jerome. This guy is amazing.
He's been unbelievable.
Shep.
LaPraine, Ty Jerome has been unbelievable. Not as unbelievable as you. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, my friend. We'll talk next weekend. You be good. Enjoy Game 1 on Sunday, okay, man?
Okay, and Cleveland, this is for you, Shep.
Love it, LaPraine. Cleveland, this is for you. I'll tell you what's not for you. Giannis Antetokounmpo versus Tyrese Halliburton. That's next. Good Shepard, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
That you had to care, the traffic is stuck, and you're not moving anywhere. You thought you found a friend to take you out of this place, someone you can lend a hand in return for grace. It's a beautiful day.
Back to the Good Shepherd.
Welcome back, everybody. This is David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. Great to be with you on this Sunday morning, however and wherever you may be listening from. It could be on SiriusXM, Channel 375. You could be with us for free on the Odyssey app. You could be at work like myself and Connor Armstrong. You could be checking us out on our YouTube chat, which is hilarious, and talking about why my fingertips are orange because I probably had Cheetos. Also, there's debates on what is a sport, what is not a sport, and what hosts are bald versus not bald hosts. Very interesting conversations going on in the chat, of course. Yeah, that's the chat for you. Love it, by the way. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We're going to get back to phone calls momentarily. We've done a lot of conversation and breaking down the Kentucky Derby, the 151st. There was, of course, Miko Magic and that incredible Game 7 when the Colorado Avalanche fell short to the Dallas Stars. And all of those goals by Dallas, by the way, came in the third period, ultimately prevailing 4-2. And then there was the disappointing Game 7, not for the Nuggets fans, but for the Clippers because they only showed up for one quarter. Now, speaking of showing up, Milwaukee, very disappointing collapse against Indiana in Game 5. You're up by 7, less than 40 seconds to go in overtime. You got to figure out a way to close. With all that being said, that was not the story and the takeaway from that series. The takeaway was, how does John Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton's father, Tyrese is the best player on the Pacers. He's averaging 12 assists per game, I believe, in the postseason. That is far and away the best. He's also averaging nearly 20 points per game. He is, without question, a star in this league. Some people would even consider him to be on the verge of being a superstar. I wouldn't go that far, but he's one of the top 20 players in the NBA for sure. His father cannot be part of the scene when they win. He can't be. Now, if Tyrese wants to go over to his father and celebrate a victory with him for the series, he's got every right to do that. The father has every right to embrace his son. It's when he gets in the middle of everything. It's when his father, because of who his son is, feels like he has the license to celebrate however he wants. And the celebration basically was the form of disrespecting Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that's not cool. Again, I referenced the blown game by Milwaukee in overtime because emotions are going to be at that point running very high for anyone affiliated with the Milwaukee Bucks. You cannot be getting on the court, waving a towel, and getting in Giannis's face yelling profanities. Now, he did, in all fairness, right after the fact, the following on social media: I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again. And then obviously you see Giannis and the father John exchanging very serious words. They went blow to blow. They went face to face. Now, clearly, you felt like this was going to be a confrontation that could have ended up a lot worse. And then you saw Giannis get into a confrontation with Benedict Mathurin because, again, emotions are running high. But that at least is a member of the Indiana Pacers. It's not a fan. Yes, I get that it's John Halliburton. It's Tyrese's dad. But he's still a fan. He ain't employed by the NBA. He ain't employed by any organization. Stay in your seat. You don't need to make matters worse. If it were a different cat, not Giannis Antetokounmpo, someone with so much dignity, class, and maturity, that could have ended up a lot worse. We all remember something that happened a little over 20 years ago when it came to a fan interaction with the Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers. Now, I believe the Pacers ultimately made the right decision when they decided they're not going to allow John Halliburton at any games for the foreseeable future when it comes to the Pacers' home playoff games. With all that being said, I want to be respectful to John Halliburton and Giannis, and I want to give you their sides of the story. This is John Halliburton after the incident. Let's take a listen on his perspective on what happened.
When I turned, it might have seemed like I was looking at him, but I really wasn't. I was looking through him. That's how I was in the moment. What? I know it looked like we were looking, like I was staring him down.
Connor, am I looking through
but
you?
It wasn't like that. It was in the moment, as if I was looking right through him. And yes, I had the banner in my hand going, and I was yelling, "Yay! Yay! Yay!" Giannis never said anything to me. I never said anything to Giannis. There was no back and forth.
But that changed when Giannis went face-to-face with John near his baseline seats a few moments later.
He grabbed my hands. He put his forehead on my forehead, and he said, "Don't disrespect me. Don't effing disrespect me." Okay? And I said to him, I was not trying to disrespect you, which I wasn't. I'm telling you, I did not do that on purpose. I really did not. And then I said to him, "I love you." He said back to me, "I love you." We patted chest. He gave us a thumbs up, and he walked away.
I'm looking at the footage for like the 18th time as I'm doing this right now. I don't get the distinction between looking through him and looking at him. I'm telling you, I'm seeing this. Pat Connaughton gets in the way, blocks him off. He literally is 3 feet away from Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you can tell he is trying to stare him down. It's just bogus. You have to be a buffoon. You have to be born yesterday to think John Halliburton even believes his words. It's just a flat-out lie. What does looking through someone mean? You're giving someone a look because you're trying to show some form of intimidation. You're trying to let them know that they lost. There's no place for that. This is why you can't have these kind of situations occur. Again, this could have ended up so much worse. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, we know he is a class act. We know, unlike the Pacers, unless it's Pascal Siakam, he's an NBA champion. Now, Giannis, he made it very clear. He did not appreciate this whatsoever. Let's hear from Giannis about the incident right after the game.
I believe being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you got, it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort.
Look, he's clearly saying something to Giannis. You don't even have to be a lip reader to be able to discern that. He is without question not only saying something to Giannis, but he's yelling something in a very heated manner. And you could only imagine it's something that would be derogatory and not exactly encouraging. There's no place for this in sports. This is honestly disgusting. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks had to endure a lot of adversity this year. Damian Lillard deals with the blood clots in his calf, then tears his ACL, right? They are already dealing with a lot of adversity. They don't need this. What does John think is going to be, solved by him coming on the court and being antagonistic towards Giannis Antetokounmpo? Even his son took Giannis' side. Tyrese, if you don't believe me, take a listen.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But I think it's the emotions of the game just got excited there. But I talked with him. I'll talk with Giannis eventually about it. Just I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there, and unfortunate what happened in the end there. But I mean, this series was a lot of war of words, a lot of war of antics, a lot of stuff going back and forth, and that's just part of this rivalry and what we've built here over the last couple of years. And it's unfortunate what happened there, but I think it's just competition. And as far as my pops, again, I don't agree what happened there. We'll have a conversation. Everybody's grown men, and we'll just go from there.
Hey, I want to give a real shout out to Tyrese Haliburton. That's a very tough situation that he finds himself in. You don't have to be religious to know that one of the ultimate tenets you have as an individual is always honor thy mother and thy father. And you never want to go against the family name, right? It's a shout out to the Godfather. You never want to say anything that is critical or negative of a family member, especially if it's a parent. And Tyrese, he was in a tough spot there. And he said exactly what needed to be said. And he was mature about everything. And he was spot on about everything. You can't be having family members take it upon themselves to insert themselves into the middle of a sporting event. And that's exactly what his father did. Now, I don't just blame John Haliburton. I blame Pacers security. Why the hell is he allowed to just waltz onto the court like he just played in the game? Where were they when clearly Giannis Antetokounmpo is not pleased with what John Haliburton is doing, and it takes Pat Connaughton 5 seconds to get in the middle of them, and that's the security that's existing in the situation here? Come on now. Where the hell are the Pacers security in all this? This could have been so much worse. I don't know about you, but if my season just ended on an epic collapse, and I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo, and there's the potential, by the way, that this is my last game ever played for this franchise, and this is the memory I got to have walking off the court, you don't think I'm going to feel some kind of emotion? The Pacers better be thanking their lucky stars that Giannis Antetokounmpo or one of his teammates, and I'm thinking Bobby Portis when I think of one of his teammates, didn't take a swing at John Haliburton. Because, again, you are running up against athletes with ultimate high-octane emotions at that point. They just suffered one of the biggest meltdowns in NBA postseason history. And this is what they have to deal with afterwards? This is why I credit Tyrese Halliburton, man. There is no place for this in sports, and Tyrese understands that. And I credit John for the aftermath of everything. Obviously offered a heartfelt, genuine apology, accepted Indiana Pacers' punishment that he cannot attend home games for the foreseeable future. But there needs to be more than that. There needs to be some kind of rule, some kind of established ground where you cannot just walk on the floor because your kid plays for that team at the end of a game. That's not how it should work. And if you walk on the floor, it better be not at the expense of the opposing team, where you are literally going out of your way to poke the bear and antagonize them. Now, I don't know for certain if John Halliburton used expletives. I'm going to trust Giannis, but I'm not 100% certain. What I do know is he was clearly staring down Giannis, and he was clearly yelling at him. Again, no place for this in professional sports, and I would like to see the NBA come down on the Indiana Pacers for allowing something like this to happen. Because, yeah, you can ultimately say to him, you can't be coming to home games anymore. But where were they when the incident was actually taking place? This never should have gotten to this in the first place. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. What do you believe the appropriate punishment should be for John Halliburton? And do you find the Pacers at fault at all for him even being in the center middle of the court in the first place, having the license and the luxury to be able to stare down Giannis Antetokounmpo for a good 5-6 seconds immediately after the game? I absolutely believe the Pacers have some culpability in why this incident took place in the first place, and it's not squarely on the shoulders of John Halliburton. Want your take on that? Again, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. And what do you believe the appropriate punishment should be for Tyrese's father, John? Let's get to Glenn in Niagara Falls. Glenn, always appreciate the patience, man. Always good to hear from you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Just, I had to call in. Well, I always call in, you know that. And so I missed Beck, but Tuesday, I think the Leafs Florida series does start on Tuesday.
Okay.
So that's going to be exciting. And I know you're talking hockey, but I know you're not watching hockey. Or did you catch any of that game?
Well, the reason I couldn't catch that live was because I was hosting at SiriusXM NBA radio, so I couldn't watch that game and host a show on basketball at the same time.
Well, I know you can't watch both, but I do hope that.
Glenn. In theory, I could, but while the game was going on, I was hosting a show, so I couldn't.
Oh, hosting a show. Sorry.
Yeah.
I actually didn't hear that. Sorry, guys. Sorry you cut out momentarily there.
Oh, good.
You're off the hook. I was hosting my show tonight, so
look at you.
I know. I every Saturday, and now I'm driving for Uber till 7 in the morning. I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know, but
hey, man,
anyway.
You must be making bank though.
I owe bank. That's the problem.
Of course,
I owed a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm owed a lot of money from a business deal gone bad, so
Understood.
I'm trying to set myself up.
Understood.
Anyways, let's not get into that. But I did want to talk about the horse racing. It is a sport, and one thing about Uber, you pick up all kinds of people. Last night, I thought I was going to shock you, and I just about when you were about to pick me up, I had a professional poker player in the car with me, and so that was very intriguing, finding out a bit about that. But because I know last week I had the non-Canadian Massimo who picked NBA over NHL. It just blew my mind. That's just not allowed. But anyways, I actually did pick up a trainer, a horse trainer. He's traveled all around the world.
Yeah.
And these jockeys are athletes. Now, I have a friend of mine that growing up also trained horses. He actually owns 25 horses now in Florida. Like, he's doing very well. And it's a small world, but this guy picked up, knew my friend very well. That's another story. But these guys are athletes. These jockeys are athletes. no question about it, to control a powerful horse like they do. Yes, the horse does most of the work, but the jockeys are working the horses too. Now, here's a question for you, my friend, and that is, so your question about horse racing, I know you talked about the hot dog eating contest. You know, I'm on the fence about that, but what about these dog shows that I see on all the sports channels? How is that a sport?
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, but
it's not. Yeah,
but it's hugely popular.
That's not a hard question. Yeah, it's very well. People love, myself included, and I'm sure this is same for you, Glenn. I mean, people love dogs. They love the innocence of them. They love the purity of it, the genuineness of dogs. Just the finite lives that they lead when everyone knows they should be living so much longer. Like, what's not to love about dogs, right? It is a man's and women's best friend. So anything that, is dog related, it's always going to be a popular review. And that doesn't mean that it's a sport, though. What's that?
Okay, so
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it doesn't mean that it's a sport, though. It just means, look, they put poker all the time on ESPN. It's not a sport, but it's something that people can relate to because they like to feel like they do that all the time, too. So it's an easy connector.
I'm starting to think poker is more of a sport than you know. This guy was talking about watching people's Adam's apples and how they can fake them. Like I've heard some crazy stuff. I don't think it's a sport.
No. Poker. Let me tell you something. Poker's not a sport any more than chess is. It's not. It's not a sport. It's a competition. That's fine, but it's not. You're not. Those are not athletes. Those are not athletes. Phil Hellmuth. What's the? I know Doyle Brunson passed away recently. Phil Ivey. They're not. They are not athletes at all.
No, he doesn't look like an athlete. That's for sure.
Right.
So do you want me to sing a little bit for you, or what? Did you want that, or you want to wait till another time?
Let's wait till another time. But I appreciate the offer, Glenn. Thanks.
Well,
man.
you asked me before, and I'm actually parked, so I could have. And anyway, we'll do it another time.
We'll do it another time, Glenn. But thank you for the offer, man.
I've got to entertain my friends on the chat, right? So
there you go. There you go. But I appreciate you asking, man. Thank you for being respectful enough to ask in the first place. And Glenn, we will hear you sing at a special occasion. That's for sure. Deal?
All right, brother. You take it easy, David.
Thanks,
I sent you a little message. Please read it.
Okay. We'll do, Glenn. Appreciate you, brother. Always good to hear from Glenn in Niagara Falls. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. Let's get to Alfonso in New York. Alfonso, always good to hear from you, man. How you doing? What you got for us, sir?
How you doing? I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Alfonso. What you got for us?
So I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember when LeBron's final year in Cleveland and the Cavs and the Raptors were playing each other in the playoffs? It was Game 1, and that game went into overtime, and Kendrick Perkins was sitting.
Yes.
It was in Toronto, and Kendrick Perkins was on the sideline, and as the Cavs were walking to the locker room, that whole commotion of him and Drake got into a big fight because Drake was kind of doing the same thing as what John Halliburton was doing to Giannis, kind of got in his face, and then those two kind of went back and forth.
That's a good example. That's right. Yeah, and now Drake he's like a special ambassador for the Raptors. Now, I know he's a super fan, but he.
Yeah. Wait,
Alfonso, say it again.
I mean, I said that's no excuse, though. You're an ambassador. You know better than to do that because the NBA told him that he couldn't. The NBA had to ban him from. He couldn't go to road games. He couldn't do certain things because of his behavior at the games and stuff.
Right. No, now that's also a part of our society that I'm not particularly fond of is the celebrity component to it. When you see this all the time from Kevin Hart, right? And I know he's one of the funniest guys on the planet, and I know he knows his sports. I know he can talk NFL, he can talk NBA, but you see him inserting himself all the time. When the Eagles will win, a Super Bowl, you'll see Kevin crash sets and just you know what I mean. And so I think Drake. That example is a microcosm of celebrities thinking that wherever they go, it should be about them. and that's just not the case. It's not.
Or like a few, like when I watch the Knicks game, when I watch the Knicks play, I always see Spike Lee on the sidelines, just clapping and
it's annoying. He's annoying. Spike Lee is annoying. He seems like such a fraud. Like he started rooting for like St. John's just because he knew that they were going to be on television and they were making noise with Rick Pitino. He's such a fraud. Spike Lee is such a fraud. Someone clip this. Someone clip this and send it to him. I have no problem making that statement. He's such a fraud. And then I remember one time, like the Knicks security, like they were trying to do their job, and they were over the top with this. By the way, I admit that, but they were over the top. And then Spike saying, "You're going to do this you did this to my brother Charles Oakley." Like he's just an attention-seeking blank, and I can't say the word on terrestrial airwaves.
Did it to Patrick Ewing, I think, too.
Yeah, and that was wrong. And by the way, the word starts with an H. I can't say the rest. But listen, he's an attention seeker, okay? Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, yeah, they were wronged. Of course they were wronged. Charles Oakley was treated like less than human. Patrick Ewing. But those guys are Knicks legends. Spike Lee is a celebrity that attends Knicks games. They're not the same thing.
Spike Lee's known for making You Got Game or whatever that movie is.
That's a good movie, by the way. And I will say, now listen, he's a brilliant director. I'll give him his due. What he did with Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X and He Got Game. Like he's a brilliant director. But I'm not saying
that. I'm just saying,
right?
You're not an NBA. I don't know. Like you're a celebrity. Stay in your lane. Like that's.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Spike thinks that because he pays top dollar for Knicks tickets, that he should be part of the show.
That's what Chris Rock pays top dollar for Knicks games, but you don't see him on the signs acting crazy.
Well, Chris Rock is too busy getting slapped by Will Smith. He's got other things to think about these days. So,
what did you think of the 7 tonight?
I thought it was horrendous. I thought the Clippers showed up for one quarter, and the Nuggets showed up for the entire game.
I just say this, and James Harden might be one of the biggest frauds in NBA history.
No, James Harden. Listen, he's in year 16. The guy finishes with 13 assists. Has 10 first assists in the from the first half. Yeah, he was 2 of 8 from the floor. He would have liked to have seen him be more aggressive, but he showed up this series. He still averaged.
I'm talking about. Yeah, that's great. You showed up for the first 6 games, but when it matters the most. He's nowhere to be found.
He had 10 assists. He was somewhere to be found when it came to passing the ball.
I guess, but what happened in 2018 when the Rockets missed 27 straight threes?
Now that's a different conversation because that's when James Harden was relied upon to score, and he blanked the bed along with all of his Rockets teammates. And once again, they fell short in a Game 7. Alfonso, we're up against it, man. We got to get to a break, but I appreciate the phone call and the back and forth. You have a great rest of your weekend. Always good to hear from you, man.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, Alfonso. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. Speaking of big-time shot makers, we got to give Jalen Brunson his love. Unbelievable performance against the Pistons. We get to that next. This is The Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. We're coming right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'm a friend of the show, man. I love what you're doing. Please keep up the good work.
This is the Good Shepherd.
Welcome back, everybody. David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Jalen Brunson has been called the greatest Knick of all time by Jay Williams. Is that hyperbole? We will revisit that on the other side. He has been all-time great for the Knicks. To say he's the greatest Knick without a championship is disrespectful to the franchise. That's my quick assessment of Jay Williams' statement about Jalen being the greatest Knick of all time. I did talk about last segment, John Halliburton stepping over the line, completely crossing it, putting the Pacers in a very uncomfortable position, putting his son Tyrese in a very awkward position, and putting Giannis in a situation which honestly could have ended up bad for him. The Pacers need to do something about this to where their fans And, parents or friends of players cannot go to the middle of the court and make themselves into the event. Cannot happen in professional sports. Let's weigh in on this. We certainly have Alex, I know, wants to weigh on this as well. Always good to hear from you in Miami, Alex. What do you have for us on this John Halliburton versus Giannis incident, man? What's your take on this?
Hey, Shep, what's up? I just wanted to let you know that I think that he should be banned from going to games for life, to be honest with you.
Wow.
The fans are very close to the court in the NBA, and they got to set the example. That's unsafe. One day there's going to be an incident where a player is going to sock somebody or somebody's going to sock a player, and then it's going to get real ugly. So
it's well said.
I would take, if I was Adam Silver, I would take, extreme measures and ban him for life.
That's really well said, Alex. And look, you're around sports. You know how this works. Like there's just emotions that you have when you suffer a loss like that. Like you're at your absolute low point and you're combustible and you are compulsive. And for Giannis to have that kind of composure, to be getting stared down by someone he's never met, for clearly there to be dialogue being spewed Giannis's way to where that particular fan is being very vitriolic and very assertive. For Giannis to just put his hands on his hips and just kind of take it, that was an ugly scene. And it was unnecessary. And I'd like to see some punishment for the Pacers, not just John. I thought the Pacers should have never allowed him on the court. I thought they should have reacted in a very quick and swift manner when they see a fan clearly going at it with Giannis. And where's the security? Where's the personnel in place to stop that in its tracks? They were nowhere to be found.
Well, at the very least, they should take that as a lesson and keep it in mind that fans cannot be rushing the court. That's not acceptable. Life is, there's common sense, and obviously, to me, John doesn't have any common sense.
Yep.
And there's also respect, and you got to respect people. You know what I mean? And you can't just go in the middle of a National Basketball Association game to the middle of the court and get in a player's face. That's ludicrous.
Yeah. Alex, everything you're saying, I would co-sign and stamp of my seal of approval with everything, man. Hey, let me ask you something, man. What are the changes in Miami right now? What do you need to do? You can't be getting blown out by 55 points on your home court to end your season.
I think Pat Riley's going to pull his magic and wind up coming up with a big trade eventually.
How about some guy named Kevin? How does that sound?
No,
you don't want that.
No, I think Kevin can be a number one. He's at this point in his career. In order for him to win, he has to be a number 2 or 3 option. I was thinking more like, it's a dream, but I want Giannis.
I think if there's anywhere Giannis goes other than Milwaukee, I think he goes to San Antonio. Because you still have Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul's coming back. You have De'Aaron Fox. You obviously have Stephon Castle, and then you have the ultimate difference maker in Victor Wembanyama. And if Giannis and Vic play together, there is no stopping them. None. There's nothing you're going to be able to do. Now with Miami, Giannis won't mind playing there because he's all about being in tip-top shape. So he's going to fit right in. I just don't know if there's anyone else there that can really complement his game well. Does Bam do that? Does Tyler do that? You know what I mean? Does Jaime Jaquez do that? Like I don't see a great fit there. You know what I mean?
Well, I think if he does come to Miami, we're not going to have Bam, either Bam or Hero. They're gonna have to trade one of them.
Oh yeah, Miami would do that in a heartbeat. Absolutely, but I don't.
Yep.
But I don't know if the personnel would really align with Giannis's game. But we'll see, Alex. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Hey, you never know. LeBron may be going back to Miami. So.
No. He's not coming. If anything, LeBron will go to Cleveland.
Yeah, you know what? I would like to see that. I think that's definitely a possibility. I know people have been ruling that out for quite some time, but the reality is, like, if Cleveland can't get past Boston, LeBron's going to Cleveland. You know it. Because now the narrative's set. Now the story is ready to be told, right? First chapter, falls short. 7 years, no championships, leaves on an absolute low note. The decision is mocked. It's derided, never to be seen again. Then he goes back to Cleveland, wins a championship. You're thinking that's got to be it. He's going to L.A. to finish his career, off to Hollywood. But no, he comes back for one more run and gives Cleveland their second NBA championship and proves to be, yet again, the ultimate difference in Cleveland getting to the mountaintop, and then does a whole nother rendition of Cleveland, This Is For You, and this time it's actually caught on camera.
If he goes back to Cleveland, he's going to have to take Bronny with him. So,
yeah, I know. But hey, you never know. Bronny may be good by that point. I mean, he had some moments this year. I'm not saying he deserves to be in the NBA, but you saw what he did, right? You saw that 17-point performance he had. Like, that was impressive, man.
Bronny's never going to be good, Shep. I mean, I don't think so.
Wait, hold on. What was that? He had a game. He had a game in the NBA where he looked like. I mean, I got to listen. I'm as critical as Bronny James as anybody, but I'm trying to think who that game was against. Let me see. Let me see when that game. Okay, Milwaukee. He shot 70% from the floor and went for 17 and 5 in 30 minutes to play off the bench. That's impressive. Come on now. I mean, that's an NBA player right there. I'm not saying now. Listen, he's got to be consistent if he wants to be in someone's rotation. But we got to give credit where credit's due, right? That he goes 7 of 10 in that game. And it wasn't like they were bunny shots.
You got to give him a little credit. You got to give him a little credit. Okay. He got lucky one game.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Alex, he's going to get lucky for a second game. I have a good feeling about that. Always a pleasure, brother.
You said about LeBron coming to Miami. I don't think Miami's big enough for Pat Riley and LeBron to fit in, to be honest with you.
By the way, wouldn't that be the ultimate reunion? And here I'm thinking Chris Rock and Will Smith would be the ultimate reunion. How about Pat Riley and LeBron James?
Talk about making up, huh?
Yeah, you got that right. Well, listen, man, you never know. I mean, you saw Ron Artest and Ben Wallace making up, so if they can do it, anyone can do it. Alex, love the call as always, my friend. You be well. We'll talk soon. Have a great rest of your weekend, okay?
You as well, Shep. I'll talk to you next week, man.
Thanks, Alex. Always good to hear from you in Miami. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Now, we got a lot of people that want to weigh in on John Halliburton and what should be the appropriate punishment by the NBA. Should there be any punishment for Indiana? We will get to your calls on the other side. We will certainly talk about the heroics of Jalen Brunson. Before we do anything else, let's get to our latest Sports Flash with Kavitha Davidson.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Shep, a couple of Game 7s. Nuggets dominate the Clippers 120-101, but that final score is much closer than this game ever was. Denver led by as many as 35, all 5 starters in double digits, and they'll face OKC in the second round. Stars Avs was frankly pretty sleepy through the first 2 periods, but then chaos in the third. Down 2-0, Dallas scored 4 goals in the final period, capped off by a big-time performance by Mikko Rantanen against his former team.
Sagan clears Rantanen for the hat trick, of course! The hats rain down, and the Stars will move on!
Call courtesy of Stars Radio. Dallas wins 4-2. They'll face the winner of Winnipeg St. Louis in round 2. Over at Churchill Downs, Journalism the favorite and was neck and neck with Sovereignty heading into the final furlong, but Sovereignty pulled ahead to win the Kentucky Derby. MLB action, Dodgers blow out the Braves 10-3. Roki Sasaki went 5. He gave up 3 runs on 6 hits with 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. Rays beat the Yankees 3-2. Aaron Judge with his 11th home run. Astros defeat the White Sox 8-3. Jake Myers had himself a game, 4-for-4 with 7 RBI.
And Myers drills this one deep to left field, and you can kiss it goodbye. 15 rows into the seats. A 3-run home run for Jake Myers, his second of the game. And the Astros lead 6-3.
Call courtesy of Astros Radio Network. And folks, we had 3 grand slams in Major League Baseball yesterday. Daniel Schneemann with the go-ahead slam in the 9th to give the Guardians a 5-3 win over the Blue Jays. Kyle Stowers with the walk-off grand slam. Marlins over the A's 9-6. And Matt Chapman, salami in the 6th. Giants beat the Rockies 6-3. Angels beat the Tigers 5-2. Twins beat the Red Sox 4-3. Nationals beat the Reds 11-6. Mariners edged the Rangers 2-1. Royals shut out the Orioles 4-0. Cubs over the Brewers 6-2. I'm Kavitha Davidson.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Marshall in Wisconsin.
Good evening, David. Always great to talk to you, and your analysis of things is so good and so right on.
This is the Good Shepherd.
Thank you, Marshall, Milwaukee. I appreciate that. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. Certainly going to give Jalen Brunson his flowers on the other side. Want to get to those who have been waiting patiently. Want to talk about John Halliburton and the aftermath of his interaction with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Honestly, that was the storyline from that game, not the absolute collapse by Milwaukee, because you're dealing with fans, you're dealing with the safety of players, and how those two can be very dangerous if not properly monitored. It was not at all when the Bucks got eliminated in 5 games by the Indiana Pacers. Let's get to Pat in Pittsburgh. Pat, good morning. What did you want to say about the John Halliburton incident?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Hey, so I ran that doesn't start where they're at now. That starts at a very young age. Those parents that act like that. I ran a baseball and softball association for 17 years as the president, and I always said the perfect game would be 12 kids on each team, 6 baseballs, 2 umpires, no fans, no nothing. Get out of there. Everybody just get the heck out of there and let the kids play.
Sure.
And I hold the same true for adults, too, because you can ruin it for your child just as much as you can ruin it for your adult child. You know, and that's kind of what I think he did. He put a damper on this poor kid, and I hope they take more action against him. I used to walk out and have people leave. I didn't tolerate it.
Yeah. No, that's well said. I think Indiana was very smart to be proactive and get out ahead of this and say to John, look, you can't attend any more playoff games for the foreseeable future. But to your point, I think there needs to be punishment against Indiana, because I think this needs to be a message to teams that you can't allow your culture and your environment to create havoc for opposing players, because it could get ugly. And
you could see punches getting thrown real quick.
Absolutely.
And like we worry about the safety of the players. And I totally agree with you.
Absolutely. Well, we're both in agreement on that, Pat, and you offer a very good perspective on that, man. I appreciate the phone call. You have a good rest of your Sunday morning, okay?
You also, sir.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it, man. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's get to Roy in Michigan. Roy, good morning. What's your take on John Halliburton versus Giannis Antetokounmpo?
First of all, great show. I was disappointed when you didn't get the weekly, nightly show. A lot of hosts will talk to people or at people. You talk and you interact with them. That's a big difference.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Roy. I appreciate it. I know Pat, is doing a good job in overnights. And I definitely encourage anyone to listen to him. But obviously, very much appreciate the kind words, Roy. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as Halliburton, you keep saying a fan. If it was a fan that walked on that floor, he would have went to jail that night.
Yeah. He
would have went to jail that night. Just the same as on a football field. If a fan runs across the field, he's gone. He's gone that night. So another question for you: Is bowling considered is bowling considered a sport?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I look at bowling or any activity that you can drink beer and play.
Right.
It's not a sport, but a giant video game.
But Babe Ruth drank all the time and then hit 3 home runs the next game. Is baseball not a sport then?
He didn't drink on the. Well, he may have.
I mean, no, it's well documented. I mean, Mickey Mantle, he was having himself a great old time the night before, and still was showing up hungover and would hit home runs and catch fly balls deep in center. But even the Mick was showing up, a little hungover on not on most occasions, but some occasions. So does that make baseball not a sport?
No, it would be a sport. Would that make him an athlete?
Well, Mickey Mantle was one of the better athletes ever in the history of baseball. I mean, the guy could go from home to first in less than 3 seconds, for crying out loud, in his prime. So, but yeah, I mean, is bowling a sport? Yeah, it's a sport. Now listen, I mean, besides PDW and maybe a couple others, the guys from Kingpin, I don't know too many bowlers. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I, just because I don't necessarily follow it doesn't mean that it's not a sport. Would you consider bowling a sport? You said no because if you're drinking and can do it, that doesn't quantify as a sport.
If you can hold a beer in one hand and participate, I don't consider it a sport.
Right? No, that's a good description of what a sport should not be considered. Roy, I appreciate the phone call and appreciate the kind
words. One more thing,
man.
I want to end with this. Just remember, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
That's not a bad joke. I mean, it's a dad joke, but it's not a bad joke. Roy, you have a good rest of your weekend, okay, man?
You as well.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Connor, you want to create any more controversy? Is bowling a sport? Yes or no?
I would say it is. I would. Yeah, no more controversy out of me tonight.
I was about to say, man, like I'm looking for an explanation here. Like, don't just say it. Like,
no, I mean,
come on now.
Yeah, it's competition. You can play. I mean, have you watched it on TV? The competitive bowling, it is amazing to watch.
Are you being serious?
No, it's fun. I watched it a couple times.
I'd watch paint dry on TV before I watch bowling on TV.
I haven't seen.
I watch billiards on TV before I watch
like
bowling
highlights on
TV.
Sports Center and these guys doing like crazy spins. And
When's the last time you saw a bowling highlight on Sports Center?
If it's it has been a long time.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hey, what should the Pacers do with John Halliburton? How long should the punishment be? Season? Tyrese's entire career? Should there be a fine?
I do think that there should be a fine for sure.
Yeah.
Just like our previous caller said, if that's any ordinary person, he's going to jail immediately,
right.
which is 100% right. So just because your son plays on the team doesn't give you the right to act, obviously in the way that he did. I can't say as what on the air, but he acted like.
Yeah, like a jerk.
A big jerk, very immature, and he should be embarrassed that his son had to basically talk him down. Yeah.
We're going to get more of those opinions on the other side. We're not jerks, Connor and I. We're coming right back. This is the Good Shepard Infinity Sports Network. We got another hour to go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Your love lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore. You know your love keep on lifting higher, higher and higher.
This is the Good Shepherd.
Welcome back, everybody. David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. We got another hour to go. Great to be with you, however, and wherever you may be listening from. You could be in your car. You could be in your truck. You could be at work like myself and Connor Armstrong. Excuse me, grandma, bad grammar. You can be at work like Connor and I. You can be at home. However you choose to consume us each and every Sunday morning. It is always a privilege and pleasure to be with you. You can be checking us out for free on the Odyssey app. You can be getting us on SiriusXM channel 375. You can be always getting us on your local Odyssey affiliate. If you cannot get through our busy phone lines at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, you can always hit me up at Shep on air on any social media platform. You can also get us in our YouTube chat. Now, shout out to John Lunsey, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, John Metz WWE. Clearly, you're rooting for a good team this year, by the way. Shout out to your Mets. Had a good tweet. Bowling is a sport. You have to have arm strength and know how to aim the ball. My dad watches the Pro Bowlers Tour on TV all the time when I was a kid. If you need physical talent, it's a sport, I feel. And tell Connor Armstrong that he's way off on his takes when it comes to what is a sport and what's not a sport. I'm kidding about that last part. He didn't add that last part, but that's a good description out of John. That's a good explanation, man. I appreciate you, John, and keep the tweets coming. You know, if they're good, I won't give you a Jody Mack tweet of the day, but I'll read them. You know, I always love people's opinions being different from mine and having unique perspectives. So good on John and keep it coming. There's an opinion that needs to not be kept coming, and that is the opinion of Jay Williams when it comes to Jalen Brunson's Knicks career so far. We'll get to that this segment. I do want to honor people that have been waiting patiently on hold, that want to talk about the Tyrese Halliburton incident, that certainly want to talk about whether bowling is a sport or not. Let's get to Jason in Pittsburgh. Jason, appreciate the patience, man. Good morning, and what do you have for us, sir?
Well, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Love the show.
Thanks, Jason.
I guess I have to be the few that play devil's advocate with the situation of Halliburton's dad. And I'm going to say that, first and foremost, I understand when fans are unruly and disrespectful to players, they deserve the discipline that they get. However, fans that pay good money to go there, fans that enable these players to have these gazillion-dollar contracts,
sure,
should be entitled to cheer, to celebrate, to jab at opponents anytime they want, all in good fun. I find it a shame that Giannis's shell isn't strong enough to be able to move on past Halliburton's dad celebrating.
Yeah, so Jason,
because look, he didn't even say anything to him directly.
Well, first of all, I agree with your first statement that fans, they do pay a lot of money, and they do have a right to voice their opinion so long as it is civil and respectful. But they can jab a little bit at opposition. You can say, hey, you're going to miss your next shot. Hey, I've seen better shooting nights from, a 100-year-old. You can do things like that. That's fair game. But you're talking about being a fan. I'm talking about a fan taking it upon themselves to insert themselves in the middle of the court and be part of the story. That's the issue that I have. That's the issue that most people are having right now with that. And trust you me, the Indiana Pacers don't act as swiftly as they did in this instance if there's not something really wrong with what John Halliburton did. He didn't just go to the center of the court to celebrate. He went to the center of the court to seek out Giannis Antetokounmpo, who, again, just suffered a season-ending defeat in a collapse of epic proportions. So he's already running high emotionally, right? You can't blame him for that.
That's his problem, though.
No, now, wait a minute. Yes, he's got to take some accountability for their collapse, of course, but that doesn't give license to any fan coming on the court and taunting him. That's not
He's a
part
little more
of the
than a
scene.
fan.
It doesn't matter. He's a fan. It doesn't matter who he is. He's a fan.
It does matter.
First of all, John,
his son played a role.
Jason, even more of a reason for him to be respectful to Giannis, because he understands what it's like having a son going into opponent's territory.
Respectful,
and having
but
to
when
lose.
Giannis wins a game and they hug and they celebrate and they jump up and down, and that's done in front of the
Yeah,
loser's
but he's
parents'
wait a
face,
minute.
that's
But
okay,
he's
though.
not. But he's not going towards fans and literally shouting in their face. Did you see?
Wow,
did you
that's
see the
so
face?
harsh. I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, Jason.
Why are you pacifying him?
Jason, we obviously disagree on this.
Why are you
as a fan,
pacifying Giannis? Why does he get a pass?
Giannis does not deserve, after a loss, to have anybody come up to his face and yell in his direction and wave a flag.
He makes $1 gazillion, and he failed.
Yeah, Jason, I don't hang up
Wow,
on people. That's
dude,
not
that's
my
a shame.
That's not my
terrible.
style. You have a good rest of your
Terrible.
morning. You have a good rest of your morning. But did I hang up? Did I hang up on him, or did he hang up? For the record,
no, it was.
That was him.
Yeah,
I don't hang up on anyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't. You're right.
Very, very rarely.
Yes.
If someone is absolutely crossing the line. Now, Jason, he's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah.
He's more than entitled to his opinion. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But Jason, you have to understand that when it comes to any superstar athlete, yes, they get paid a lot of money. In Giannis's case, he's one of the highest paid players in NBA history. Trust you me, Milwaukee fans will attest to this. He's worth every single damn penny. Every single damn penny Milwaukee pays him. Just because he loses a game doesn't mean he has to endure the flack and the absolute name-calling from opposing fans in his face on the middle of a basketball court afterwards. There's no place for that in the NBA. There's no place for that in sports. And if anyone should understand that more, it should be the parent of the face of the franchise of the Indiana Pacers and John Halliburton. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That's 888-710-4476. And let me tell you something a little bit more, Jason, about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Had his father die when he was really young. Don't question this man's toughness. Don't question his emotional maturity. It's among the highest in any professional sport. And there's a reason why Giannis Antetokounmpo is as strong-minded as he is, because he walks the talk. And I've never seen Giannis act like what John Halliburton did after any win. He's never gone to any kind of opponent after a win and rubbed their nose in it. Let's get to Ryan in California. Ryan, hope you're having a good morning so far. What do you have for us, sir?
Hey, what's up, Shep?
What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, I've talked to you before. I don't think you remember me, but we had a big argument about Colin Kaepernick a while ago, maybe 2 months ago.
Gotcha.
And the fall of Shedeur Sanders follows greatly with what happened with Colin Kaepernick. Character issues, man. Character issues will not get you on a team. Shedeur Sanders has character issues. Colin Kaepernick had the same thing.
Well, remember, Ryan, you can have character issues if you're super duper talented and it jumps off the charts.
Colin Kaepernick was not that. But I also want to say to you first, I really like listening to you, Shep, and I like the fact that you bring the faith into what you say, and you're not afraid to do that.
I appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good thing, and I think it's a good thing for people, and I think everybody should hear what people honestly have to say, and I think you're very honest with what you have to say.
Always.
But getting away from the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Right.
I think what you're saying about sports, I don't believe the WNBA should be a sport anymore. It's being subsidized by the NBA. It's not really a watchable.
Of course it should. Wait. Have you given it a fair shake?
I gave it a fair shake about 10 years ago.
Okay, have you watched Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, I've watched Caitlin Clark, and I think I could beat her one-on-one.
Ryan,
I'm 6'3" with a 7'2" wingspan.
Yeah,
I think I could beat her one-on-one.
Ryan, what is, if we're having a serious conversation about this, what is your?
We are. I'm always serious.
What is your experience? What is your experience playing basketball?
I played a little bit in high school, and I played against the Division I girls team. Me and 3 friends that we just they weren't professional at all. They didn't play high school ball. Right. They were just recreational players, and we actually absolutely destroyed a Division I girls team 21-3.
Okay, now listen, you are entitled to your opinion. If you feel like the WNBA should not be a league, I can't tell you.
Is it being subsidized by the NBA?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Yes, it is.
But we can agree on that.
But in fairness, I don't think they've always had the best leadership. I think that obviously the quality of play when it comes to the NBA, yes, they are better athletes in the NBA than in the WNBA. We all recognize that.
That goes without question.
Now, with that being said, the skill set of the WNBA is extremely high.
Compared to who?
Compared to 99.9999% of other basketball players.
No. I don't agree with that.
You're under Ryan. I'm telling you, as someone that has done this for a living,
I've gone to a rec league and destroyed Division I.
Ryan,
and
I don't think this is a prank call. By the way, I think you're being dead serious.
No, I'm not. I'm being totally serious
Ryan,
with you. I'm trying to have a rational conversation.
You cannot beat Caitlin Clark one-on-one. You can't.
No, I don't think I can.
Okay, good. So I'm glad. I'm glad we agree on that. Now, with that being said,
but I think I can score 5 points on her. Do you think I can score 5 points on her?
If you're playing up to 1,000, sure.
You're funny, Shep.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, we're gonna end on that note. I appreciate the phone call, man, and good to hear from you. I think you were bordering on being disrespectful towards the WNBA, and that's not cool. To say they're like they shouldn't be a league, I think is really harsh. I think it's really unfair. Look, no one's gonna mistake the WNBA for the NBA. Okay, you're not gonna have individuals jump from 10 feet out, doing reverse alley-oops. That's just not the WNBA. Does it have the same amount of history? No, of course not. The NBA has obviously been around since 1946. But, Ryan, my assignment for you, my challenge for you would be take the time to watch Caitlin Clark for one game. Watch her move without the ball. Watch her range. Watch her handle. Watch her ability to get to the rim and finish with ease with either hand. And there's a lot of great players in the WNBA not named Caitlin Clark. You saw Dallas just draft another one of them in Paige Beckers. How about Asia Wilson for Vegas? There's some really special talent in the WNBA. I believe it's extremely unfair to come out and say there shouldn't be a WNBA. Now, you can have your commentary as to why the WNBA needs to modify itself in some ways, get better, have more exposure. That's fair game. But you can't honestly tell me the WNBA shouldn't be a league if you yourself just admitted you haven't watched it in 10 years. That's not fair. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. It's like if I said to Connor, you remember your first time on the board?
I do.
Okay, so the WNBA, it didn't have the most amount of fanfare because they just weren't as good as NBA players, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
But as a league, you learn how to differentiate yourself. Mm-hmm. You learn how to separate yourself. And I find that the WNBA, to their credit, every single year, it gets a little better in terms of the quality of play. There's better marketing, and there's better leadership. Your first time on the board, was it great?
It was a good learning experience for sure.
Okay. If I said to you, I don't want you on the board on my show, how, based off that first appearance, and I haven't taken to, and I wouldn't say that, by the way, but let's just say I did, and I haven't factored in the other 7 freaking months that you've been a part of Infinity Sports Network, wouldn't that be extremely unfair?
It would be, yes.
So I can't take someone seriously when they say I haven't watched the sport in 10 years, but shouldn't be around.
Yeah.
Well, you disqualify yourself.
Right.
You can't be doing that.
No.
Now, if you want to say I've watched every single WNBA game and this is why the league sucks, okay, I disagree with that, but we can have that conversation. I can entertain that notion. What you can't do is say the WNBA sucks, but I haven't taken the time to watch any of it in 10 years.
Right. Yeah, just like especially coming in blind like that, it just doesn't make any sense for the argument.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, it seems like that person had an agenda against women's sports.
Kind of sounded like it.
Same here. Let's get to Lee in Montana. Lee, I appreciate your patience, man. What'd you want to say to us, sir?
Well, I've only been on the phone for about 10 minutes, so how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Lee. How about yourself, man?
Well, I'm enjoying some nice weather here. It's 58 degrees.
Look
it was
at you.
84 today.
All right.
Yeah, it does get warm in Montana. Wait till July.
wait till late August in New York City on a subway platform.
Oh my God! I don't even want to. I've been to New York City once.
That's it.
I haven't lost anything, and really, I have no reason to go back.
When did you check it out? When did you go to New York City?
Actually, believe it or not, I was hitchhiking up I-95.
That's how you got to New York City? Not off of Metro North, not after like a bus to Penn Station, not after like New Jersey Transit. You got here by hitchhiking?
By hitchhiking, and as a matter of fact, I went all the way to Nashua, New Hampshire.
Wow, that's quite a journey, Lee.
But that's another story for another time.
Sounds good. We'll save that along with Glenn singing for next time. It sounds good.
I have to say something about your commentary with the guy who was talking about Giannis and
sure.
John Halliburton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if it had been Draymond Green would have probably hauled off and knocked the guy into the middle of the next century.
I agree. And then the Warriors would have done nothing. Right. I agree.
The Warriors would have probably applauded.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, I mean, what the heck did Giannis do to deserve that kind of treatment?
Nothing.
I mean,
nothing.
John Halliburton, when he got up into, and I won't even say he got up into Giannis's grill, because Giannis could rest his chin on the top of Halliburton's head.
Right.
What the hell does he think he's doing? I mean, really,
he thinks that he has a license to act however he damn well pleases because of who his son is, and he has the license to barb and ignite reaction and poke the bear in however fashion he sees fit. That's what he thinks, because it's clear when he was able to get on the court and be in the middle of it, there was no opposition to him not being there. This is as much on the Pacers as it is John Halliburton. Now, I'm not absolving John Halliburton for 1 second. I want to make myself abundantly clear. But as an organization, you have a responsibility to make sure that not only is the environment safe for your team, but for opposing teams. And that's why I'm really disappointed that there has not been any semblance of punishment whatsoever when it comes to the Pacers organization. You can't be allowing that. You can't be allowing fans on the middle of a court at the end of a playoff series. What do you think's going to happen? Like if it wasn't John Halliburton, it probably was going to be someone else. Now, maybe not to the same degree because it's Tyrese Halliburton's father, but what do you expect? Fans are going to be fans when they're given leeway. Most of them are going to be great, but some of them are going to be jackasses. And I'm not calling John Halliburton a jackass, but he certainly acted like one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like the toughest answer to the toughest question to answer is, why are there more horses' asses than there are horses?
And what's the answer to that? Yeah, that's a good question. What's the answer?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There are a lot of horses' asses out here, but yeah.
So wait. That sounds like a good riddle right there, Lee. So you asked why. You asked why are there more horses' asses than there are horses? That's a good than horses. That's a philosophical question right there. I mean, that's really good, man. That's not bad, Lee. I might have to use that at some point. Hey, man, listen, always appreciate. Go ahead, Lee.
I got a trophy for that from my youngest daughter.
Right.
It was the trophy of a horse's rear end, and it said "World's Greatest Umpire." Back in the day when I was an umpire.
Yeah. No, listen. I mean that's the toughest job in the world. No matter what, one of the famous lines, of John Wood, and John Wooden's an all-time great coach, but even he would get into it referees, and one of the most famous lines is the referee. John's chewing out the referee, and he's saying, "How could you make that call? You hear, how could you do that to us?" And he goes, "Well, John, they liked it on the other side." So there's just never winning. You can't please everyone as a ref. At least in you're a coach. Yeah, you face the scrutiny, but you have an opportunity to win the game, and there's no disputing that. With a ref, you're always losing because someone's always pissed off, no matter what. Lee, never pissed off in our phone chats, man. Appreciate the phone call as always. Stay warm in that 58-degree weather in Montana, and we'll talk next weekend. Okay.
Okay, you got yourself a deal. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Lee. Always good to hear from you in Montana. Number to get aboard is 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Lakers because, let's be real, that's going to be ongoing for the next 5 months until they play again. I do have a message for JJ Redick. And what we saw from him this week was a coaching disaster. We get to that on the other side. This is The Good Shepherd on the Infinity Sports Network. You can always follow me at Shep on Air. You can always hit us up in our YouTube chat as well. I did not forget about the Jalen Brunson remarks by Jay Williams as well. We get to that too. So much more to do on the busy Good Shepherd on this Sunday morning. We're coming right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Billy in Green Bay, who's waiting patiently. Billy, how you doing? And what's the solution for court storming, my friend?
Shep, man. First of all, I love what you do here.
This is the Good Shepherd.
So in our YouTube chat, we have LeBron James, we have Doug Gottlieb, we have Jordan Hudson, and then we got people pretending to be hosts at the Infinity Sports Network. And I know it's not you because you're giving names of your family members that don't exist. Like you're pretending like we're not. You got to remember something. I've been in Infinity for 12 years. So I know all of the hosts' family members. I know their backgrounds. I know their stories. So all I got to do is just ask you a simple question, and I can tell right away when it's a fake. So don't come on these YouTube chats and try to pretend to be a host if I know it's not you. And by the way, Daily is so popular on our chats that you got even fake handles trying to impersonate Daily. That's how bizarre our chat has become. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it's these YouTube chats are a trip, man. They're fun. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. And I'm going to do the read right now because I love Connor Armstrong and always want to make him happy. This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Just a few health questions to get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Now, I do want to say this. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Lakers because they're the Lakers, and it's going to be the next 5 months, especially when we get to July and August, and it's going to be a topic of conversation when there's no NFL and no basketball, no hockey. But J.J. Redick, this was a disastrous coaching display from you. To be the only head coach to play 5 guys every single second of the second half, for them to be gassed in the fourth quarter, which is why he didn't win Game 4, and then for them to be gassed at the beginning of the first quarter because you gassed them in Game 4 in the fourth quarter. It's a coaching nightmare. It's the exact opposite of what you should do if you want to actually be ready to win a playoff series. You treated that Game 4 like it was a Game 7, and it backfired. And so when you're asked a question like this, maybe show up a little bit of class and not jump to conclusions that he's not doing his job right, when we all know you aren't doing your job right, and this question is more than fair game, but you want to be a prima donna, you want to be a diva, you want to be entitled, you want to be a poor sport, you want to be a sourpuss. Let's take a listen.
As you watch the film, what do you recall about your thought process in the moment, sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day? And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single time out?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I, every single time. That's a weird assumption.
Thank you, Coach.
There's a very famous comedy routine, and it ultimately became a special, and the concept is selective outrage. When Will Smith went after Chris Rock at the Oscars 3 years ago, Will Smith was angry at a lot of things. It wasn't just the joke that Chris Rock had at the expense of Will Smith's wife or whatever he wanted to label her at that particular time. There's such thing as selective outrage, where you're not necessarily angry at what that person had to say, but it's just the tipping point. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's all that was. J.J. Redick, for the better part of a year, has been hearing that he's a novice, that he's inexperienced, that he's in over his head, that he's underqualified. And all of that is true, by the way, because a real head coach doesn't handle himself like an immature jackass in childlike manner when you're about to be eliminated. I mean, you even heard Reggie Miller bring this up on the broadcast, and you never hear this. He had to calm J.J. Redick down in one of their production meetings because J.J. was still fuming over that Game 4 loss. Come on. What are we doing? Is it amateur hour? Well, it's amateur hour when you hear comments like this. Now, I love myself some Jay Williams, one of the all-time greatest college basketball point guards of all time. Unfortunately, dealt with that horrific incident his rookie year when he got into the motorcycle accident. We all know he would have been a special pro had he not gotten hurt. But when he makes comments like this, you wonder, what the hell is he thinking?
Don't know if we actually have that cut here, Shep.
It's in the general.
Oh. On the Jalen Brunson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, got it.
I said it last year, and I'm going to say it again. And I know that he has to close the deal and win a championship. A lot of that is roster construction, the right pieces. I don't think they're actually going to have a chance against the Boston Celtics. But I think we're watching the greatest Knick ever to play in that Knick uniform. I firmly believe that. He embodies everything that I think the Knicks...
Clyde Frazier. He has a chance to become...
Before said and done,
yeah.
I think we will be talking about him in that capacity.
So, look, Jalen Brunson was amazing in that closeout game against Detroit. 40 points, I believe 70 assists, and the crossover heard around the world. I think Asar Thompson is still recovering from that. At least his ankles are. We got to be reasonable and fair-minded when we make these kind of claims. We can't just be putting out there that someone, because they had a great postseason series or because they've had a couple good postseason series, that they're all of a sudden the greatest player in franchise history for that respective organization. Jay Williams knows better than that. First of all, Jalen Brunson has never even made 2 All-NBA teams. Patrick Ewing made 7. Patrick Ewing was the starting center for the greatest Olympic team of all time. Not Akeem Olajuwon, not David Robinson, not Shaquille O'Neal. Patrick Ewing was the starting center on that dream team in 1992. He played for the New York Knicks for a decade and a half. He was part of 2 NBA Finals teams. Speaking of NBA Finals, Willis Reed won 2 championships. Walt Frazier won 2 championships, as did Dave DeBusschere, as did Bill Bradley. We got to be better than this. We got to be a lot better than this, Jay Williams. Jalen Brunson, he's made less All-NBA teams for the Knicks than guys like Carl Braun. Have you ever heard of Carl Braun? Not Carl Brown. Carl Braun. Have you ever heard of Carl Braun for the New York Knicks?
I have not, no.
Okay. He has made more All-NBA teams for the Knicks than Jalen Brunson. And that's not a knock on Brunson, by the way.
When did Carl Braun play?
It was the 40s.
Okay, yeah.
It was the 40s. I did not expect you to know who Carl Braun is.
Yeah.
Right. But the truth is, Jalen Brunson, what he's doing is incredible. He's a great scorer, and he's a really good facilitator. But let's have him get to an Eastern Conference Finals before we even put him in the conversation as one of the all-time great Knicks. Now, you can call him one of the great scorers in Knicks history. That's fair game. But to call him the greatest player in franchise history and the guy hasn't even played a single second in an Eastern Conference Finals? Come on, Jay. We got to be better than this. Let's get to Mike in Denver. Mike, good morning, man. What do you have for us, sir?
How you doing, sir?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, couple of things. The NFL, they want to hold everybody accountable. That kid that did the Shakur Sanders thing. That's understandable.
Yeah, Shedeur Sanders getting picked 144th overall. That's fair.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about they want to hold the kid that gave him the prank call.
Yeah.
Accountable.
Jeff Albrecht's kid. They should.
Yeah. Okay. How about the NFL looking in the mirror and holding themselves accountable for instance, I've had Bronco tickets. I got 10 season tickets for the last 60 years.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of football.
Sure.
I don't understand how they could put a product on the field when Kansas City comes to town the last game of the season against the Broncos. I know it's entertainment, but it was pretty crappy entertainment. I mean,
Yeah.
at my age, I don't go to too many games anymore because, one, I can't afford them. Because
They're expensive.
I was going to,
Yeah.
I was going to games when they're $2.30 a ticket.
Oh man, that's like a stick of gum these days. Good for you.
Yeah, but now they're $200.
Yeah, that's a lot more expensive. Yeah.
And I grant no, it's inflation and times have changed.
Yeah, times have certainly changed, Mike.
My grandkids and my nieces and nephews now go to the games, and I might get one game a year anymore, but I still watch.
And by the way, Mike, it's a good time to be a Broncos fan. I mean, Sean Payton, he seems to have found the right magic in Denver. And how about your quarterback, Bo Nix? How impressed have you been with him?
I love it. I mean, he was the right pick.
Yes, he was.
At the time they had the pick. And, I mean, if the NFL, they put a crappy product on the field.
Yeah, but Mike, just so you know, the NFL, they're not good at holding themselves accountable. They were really late to the game when it came to, dealing with all kinds of injustices in this country, particularly when it came to race relations. They were really late in the game when it came to that incident with Ray Rice, when he should have been punished a lot more harshly than he actually was. They are late to the game with a lot. And when they do come up short, they don't do a good job of holding themselves accountable unless it's just for PR recovery measures. In that case, that's when the NFL does speak up. So, yeah, Mike, don't ever hold your breath waiting for the NFL to hold themselves accountable. And you've seen how late they are in the game in terms of dealing with, the obviously the concussion issues and CTE. Trust me, the NFL is not in the business of holding themselves accountable. They're in the business of making money, which is why Roger Goodell pretty much lets the owners get away with whatever they want.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so then they're saying Secure can sell tickets. I mean, if the NFL is worried about selling tickets, how come they don't give Denver Colorado another team? I mean, have you ever seen the list of?
Sure. Well, my question for you would be, I mean, there's only 3 states, I believe, with no, that's not true because Pennsylvania has 2. Yeah, I mean, Colorado. If I'm being honest, Mike, there's states before Colorado. I mean, Colorado that I think of that should have a professional team. I mean, Oklahoma is a big time sports state. They don't even have one franchise. You know what I mean?
Right.
So places like Oklahoma, they should have one. Before a place like Colorado has 2. I mean, I do hear what you're saying. Like West Virginia, they don't have a football franchise, right? Georgia, that's a huge state when it comes to football. They only have one team.
But do they have record sellout?
Pretty much every NFL team sells out. It's the NFL. But Mike, listen, man, I appreciate the phone call on your part. You continue to stay blessed. Have fun with your grandkids when you go to the football game in 2025. I hope the seats are not too expensive for you, and you have a great rest of your weekend. Okay, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Number to get aboard, 888-710-4ISN. That is 888-710-4476. When we get back, have a special shout out to a really important fan of the show. It means a lot when, people like this reach out to me because I understand how important the show is to people and I get how important it is to me and how much fans mean to me. So I just want to honor someone when we get back. I know they're dealing with a very tough anniversary. I'll explain all that next. Before we do anything else, let's get to our latest sports flash. Here is Kavitha Davidson.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, Shep, the Nuggets exercised some Game 7 demons. They blew out the Clippers 120-101. Denver absolutely dominated this game, led by as many as 35, but you'd forgive Nuggets fans for still being nervous after blowing a 20-point lead in Game 7 of the second round last year. After the game, Nikola Jokic was asked how much last year's loss played into the team's approach.
To be honest, my personally 0 because I don't think about failures. I don't think about something that happened 1 year ago. My whole focus, my whole energy was today, to this moment, to be present and try to beat really talented team.
Audio courtesy of Inside the NBA. The Nuggets might have shaken off their Game 7 woes, but the Avalanche continue their spiral in decisive games. Colorado had a 2-0 lead over Dallas in the third, but Mikko Rantanen scored twice to tie it, and then Wyatt Johnston with the winning goal with less than 4 minutes left in the game. Dallas wins 4-2. The Avs have now lost 7 straight Game 7s. Over in the Kentucky Derby, Journalism entered as the 7-2 favorite, but Sovereignty pulled ahead in the final furlong and is your 2025 Kentucky Derby champion. Major League Baseball action. Dodgers beat the Braves 10-3. Shohei Ohtani went 3 for 4 with a homer and a walk. He scored 3 runs and drove in 1. We saw 3 grand slams in baseball yesterday. Daniel Schneemann hit a grand slam in the top of the 9th to give the Guardians a 5-3 win over the Blue Jays. Marlins walk off the A's 9-6 in grand fashion.
First pitch. Stowers hits it out to left center. Soderstrom on the move. That is back, and it's gone! To left center field, a walk-off grand slam for Kyle Stowers. And off the Reaper, the Marlins come back and win it.
Call courtesy of Marlins Radio Network. And over in San Francisco, Matt Chapman joined the salami party with a slam in the 6th. Giants beat the Rockies 6-3. I'm Kavitha Davidson.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Man, Chef, man, he like the smoothest dude in America, man. I like dude, man. Cool dude, man.
This is the Good Shepard.
Welcome back, everybody. This indeed is David Shepard on the Infinity Sports Network. It is great to be with you, however and wherever you may be listening from. You know, if you're listening to me for the very first time, just know that this is not David Shepard's show. Yes, I am the name of the show, and I'm the host of the show, but this is about you. This is about the audience. This is about what you want to talk about, what you want to discuss, what you want to get into every single weekend. And it is a pleasure to be able to host this show on a, weekly basis, every single Saturday, every single Sunday. And the motivation for me is getting to interact with you, is getting to talk with fans throughout the country, throughout the world. It makes it fun. And, there's some people that you get to know over the years, and one of those individuals is Adam, a.k.a. Big D. And a year ago to the day, he lost his sister, Anna, tragically. And I know Anna left behind a very young son and a very young daughter. We're talking about Brianna and, also discussing Landon. And I just want y'all to know that, this show that I'm doing this morning is dedicated to you, and it's dedicated to your mom's memory. Because listen, life is precious, and you got to appreciate every single moment you have. You have to be grateful for every opportunity that's put in front of you, because you never know when that opportunity is taken away from you. And the pleasure that I have of doing this show, yeah, sports is fun. I love sports. But the real joy I get is talking to fans, is interacting, is hearing your life, hearing your perspective, having disagreements, having agreements, mostly disagreements, and that's okay. But, I know Adam, he's been constantly listening to Infinity Sports Network, and we used to listen to CBS Sports Radio all the time before we were called Infinity, and I, always appreciated his insight and his wisdom, and still got to get him to call in, but I know he's been tweeting me for the last 4 or 5 years, pretty much on a daily basis. I don't know how he does it, because I know he's got a full-time job driving. But Adam, man, you're one of the people that I think about when, I may be tired and I may be lackluster and, the fuel may be, headed towards empty. I think about people like yourself that are working so hard each and every day to do what you have to do to support your family. But I just want to, again, reiterate that, Landon and Brianna, you had, from everything I hear, an incredible mom. And I'm not going to pretend to know everything, but I have a good feeling that she is looking after you every single day of your lives. And, shout out to Anna. I know she lost her life tragically a year ago to this day. But this show is dedicated to your children. It's dedicated to your memory. And just truly hope that, a year removed from that horrific incident, that things are a little bit better than what they were last year. Speaking of a little better, I'm not going to pretend to gloss over the Oklahoma City Thunder for an entire show. You got to give them credit, sweeping the Memphis Grizzlies. They haven't played in a week, and it's going to be a fascinating matchup between them and the Denver Nuggets. I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for Game 7 between the Rockets and the Warriors. It's going to be a little different this time around. I know everyone's referencing 2 years ago when the Warriors got completely lambasted at home in Game 6, goes to Sacramento in Game 7, and Steph Curry has, at the time, a record 50 points in a Game 7 performance. The difference is the Rockets' philosophy is they're going to get beaten by anyone not named Steph Curry. They are making it their mission to double-team him every opportunity, face guard him, run him off the line, be physical with him. Obviously, he has that injured finger right now. Dylan Brooks has no problem admitting that he's going to be going after it every chance he gets. So it's going to be a fascinating Game 7. Steph Curry will not go for 50 points. I promise you that. I like the Rockets in this. Obviously, we know about Marvel Man, Mr. Aquaman himself, Steven Adams. He was wonderful with that 17-point performance on just 4 shot attempts. But I have a feeling Jalen Green, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do have a feeling Jalen Green is going to look like that Game 2 version of Jalen Green when he was dropping 30-plus points, looking like the Houston Rockets' leading scorer in this regular season, not the guy averaging 11 points per game in the other 5 games. They're going to need him to step up because they cannot just be reliant on Fred VanVleet, who has been outstanding in this series. But I do have the Rockets prevailing in Game 7. Again, this show is dedicated to the memory of Anna and her 2 lovely, wonderful young children, Landon and Brianna. Shout out to you, Adam D., wherever you may be as well. Connor Armstrong, you were great on the 1s and 2s. Thank you so much for all your hard work, my friend. Folks, do not go anywhere. Put them up! Carl Dukes, he's coming up next. Have a blessed weekend, everybody. This is David Shepard. I'm out. Love you all.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.